Welcome back. It's Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange. It is St Ledger Week. The oldest classic returns, the last classic of the season. How strange does that feel? It all seems like it's come up rather quickly, doesn't it? But this is 2020. What a big news week. We are here for you for 4 days running. We'll be with you right until Sunday. The St Ledger Field, lots to talk about there. Irish Champion Stakes, big news. Gayeth goes across. 6 runners there, so much to talk about. And on Sunday, a superb card. The Moyglare, all sorts of loads of British horses going over for the Flying Five as well. Stellar Panna for you today. Myself, Dave Orton, back in the chair. Delighted to say, joining us, Sandro Di Michele, or should I call you Midas these days? The owner that is Sandro Di Michele.
How are you, Dave?
I'm superb, Sandro. Good to have you in. You come down from Leeds, haven't you? So you know about the town, a bit about the town more. You've been there loads of times.
Yes, yeah. Look, wonderful part of the world. You have some very unique experiences at Doncaster. It's really good, really good. Great place to spend time at. And wonderful days racing today, isn't it?
Yeah, superb. We'll get the owner's angle from Sandro, big punter himself, as we go along. Delighted to say, coming down as well to join us back into London, Keith Melrose, betting editor of the Racing Post. Keith?
How are you, Dave?
A loyal following returning. I hear you had great numbers basically in the E-Ball week, mate. So no pressure on, but you're going to be doing some trading today.
Yeah, I've got the camera, the laptop in front of me today to show the punt and how it goes.
And also with us, of course, across the Irish Sea go we. He's still in this room. It's Betfair big hitter himself. Barry Orr joins us back on the show. Barry?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we all?
Absolutely buzzing, Barry. We're going to be taking in Leopardstown, of course, Saturday and Sunday. I mean, whatever you make of, the Doncaster week, this weekend is genuinely outstanding stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and it always is, but it just seems this season everything just seems to have been condensed, and we've been really spoiled for choice. It's almost like every other weekend we've had top-notch action, and this weekend really doesn't fail. It's been a clash that's gone on for a number of years now, the Doncaster St Ledger and Irish Champions weekend, but it's one that punters have grown accustomed to, and they've grown to really like, and they get stuck in their droves, that's for sure.
Yeah, no worries, and Barry's going to be with us for the next 2 days, I can tell you that. Oh, we've got a brilliant week coming along. Shall we get to our first race? It's a really tricky one at that. We better get the market up, chaps, and have a look. We're around about 10 minutes, maybe slightly before that. They are going down at Doncaster. There's been a right punt in this race, Barry, hasn't there? The Rafe Beckett horse that's made its way to favouritism.
Yeah, Miu and Moore was 10-1 on the Betfair Exchange earlier on this morning for small money, but it's into 4.6 now. So 7-2 at the moment ahead in Azuna, who's currently around a 5-1 chance. 11-2 Sky Angel. Ventura Diamond, a 10-1 chance. And it's around 14-1 bar. But yeah, looked a nice prospect, Miu and Moore, when it won in Pontefract. Gets an official rating of 75 here. Puts her banging with a shout. There's 2 non-runners here, which brings it down to 15, doesn't it, for punters, which is unfortunate. But I'm sure anyone who was enhancing the terms there should probably keep them. But on the exchange, as you guys all know, it keeps the initial place terms regardless of the amount of non-runners. So it's 4 places. And I'm going to back a horse in the place market here. If Mr. Melrose would be so kind as to put this on for me, if he's fired up and ready to roll there. Jed O'Keefe's horse, I like it, the horse that won in Pontefract, Gizani. I think Jed O'Keefe's horses generally go unchecked by the market. He did have a winner yesterday, Spirit of Her Muse. Few quid knocking around for it as well. Was a 6-1 chance. So it's nice to, or Straits of a Muse. So it's nice to see the stables in decent enough form. But I'm going to have a few quid on him in the win and place, Keith. So
sure.
If you want to go to the win market first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bet him at Betfair SP. So if your Betfair SP in the win market is displaying, I'm just going to have 25 quid on him in the win market at Betfair SP. So
there we are.
Yeah, and if you go to the place market, just the standard place market,
because
place. That is 4 places, regardless of the 2 non-runners, and it takes it down to 3 with traditional bookmakers on the Betfair Exchange. We stick to the original place terms here. We're going to have 25 quid on the place. What's he trading there? About 8.4 at the moment.
Yeah, you'll have to be going down quite a bit to get.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's going to go in. That's going to go into the other column, and I'm confident. Am I confident? What? It's about a minute to post time. Maybe we'll just take it down a notch then, just in case, and just to get matched. But yeah, that's my play in the race. I've done enough talking. I'll let you guys get on about it.
Okay, I'll put you in for that, Barry.
The first trade is done. Barry Orr going for Jed O'Keefe. Indeed, he did take out a race straight of Hormuz yesterday at the track. OK, we know you like to react to what Barry does. We'll work out what charity we're going to go for this week. It was retired retraining of racehorses, of course. We did it at the Haydock at the weekend. That went particularly well indeed. Get your social media questions in for us. Hashtag RP Live. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, welcome back. Sizzling stuff. Let's get the selections as well. Sandro, come on then, straight away. If you looked at this,
I've had a look. It's not the easiest conundrum to unpick. I like a horse of Eve Johnson-Houghton's, who actually won the race last year. Tattoo. It's quite a big price, but I think an impressive victory at Wolves last time out. I think it'll improve for that, and with a very talented George Adobe on board, taking £5 off. At the prices, that was the one that appealed to me. So I've had a little bet on the place market. Backed on the place market on Betfair, 5 places I've taken. So, look, I think it's a wide open race. I think you can make a case for a lot of horses, as you've seen with Barry's selection as well. You know, a big price horse, but Tattoo is the one for me, Dave.
You're all going for big prices. Guess what I've ended up on?
Yeah.
Listen,
let's
get this out of the way.
Strong. I back the Fav energy. Oh, I back the Gamble me. Very shrewd me.
I didn't think this would be Fav when I picked it. I must admit, I looked at it this morning, and as Barry mentioned, it was as big as 10s early on. Whether I want to be with it at 3s, I don't know. But the reason why I like this, Keith, and let's come to you. You've written half the paper today. So was this one of the races that you previewed?
Yes, it was.
A lot of pace low, isn't there? It looks to be pace low. A light Sprite of Carl Burke's, 85. Looks like a good mark with Clifford Leon, but I am worried about her getting swallowed up. But the pace looks to be far side.
Yeah, pace is all low in this race. It looks to be more high in the sales race later on, which is an interesting thing to watch out for. Sometimes these things can affect how jockeys are acting in later races. I think in this race, the one that I thought the best form was Sky Angel. I've not had a big bet in the race. I've had a small win bet on this horse. Her run last time, I thought, has appeared as really good form. The third has since come out and won a novice race and done it quite convincingly. You know, and Sky Angel has beaten her, off in a handicap last time. Gone up a little bit for it, but I do think that is the strongest form in the race. The problem you've always got with these nurseries is that there's always one that can improve and go past you. But the money is coming a little bit for Sky Angel. I thought when she was about 3rd or 4th in the betting, I thought, she should be a little bit shorter than that because of what she has just behind her. Godolphin,
of course. Yeah, the drop back in trip does look interesting from stall 12 for Keith Melrose. There are the tips then. Let's just go through them again for you. Sandho at a whopping big price for Barry Orr. Tattoo for Sandro Di Michele. Keith is going for Sky Angel, and yet I'm on the Fav. So could we just get it between us? They are going in for the first race here, and then on this Thursday. We've already had one day at Doncaster. Ground, Keith, yesterday looked sort of, we've had one race. Logician, of course. We've seen he's got 4 legs and an engine still. He's come back. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. Let us know what you make of that comeback for Logician, of course, out there. The ground.
It was good yesterday.
Just level playing field.
Yeah, I'm not a massive ground punter at the best of times, but that ground yesterday, all the indications from guys that put a lot of time and effort into this, that I then look at Twitter, they told me it was all good, and it looked good. The times were good. Everything was. It's just standard ground, and it's good ground.
Yeah. So wherever the pace is, that's where we're expecting the best draw to be. Really, you tag onto it and we go. Barry, anything just as the last couple go in that's coming in? Are there any spikes in the market at all?
No, not really. It's quite a mature market now, as you can imagine. It's 7-2 to field. Miu and Moore 7-2, 4-1 Nazuna. A few quid for that, I suppose. Sky Angel steady away at 5 and 9-1 bar down.
Cheers, Barry. Okay, then. So
It's a bigger field than the sales race this year, which is very rare, as I pointed out in the paper today. So that's an interesting thing to watch out when it comes to the draw.
OK, fine. They are off and running
now
for the first, the 140, the Phillies Nursery. And indeed, Sprite on the far side absolutely pings out. And it is that group of around about 6 that go well clear of those on the near side. So we've got
Sky Angel's playing Dodgems.
Yeah, Keith, you're not very happy with that at this point?
No, not. Well, she has just tried to muscle in on the horse that's making the pace on that side. She wants to basically get right beside Annie Rose, get that draft into the race, because everything on the far side is getting a draft through Sprite.
I'm a bit surprised that Mia Moore has stuck to this side, the favourite, if you're on that. Barry Sandho, a bit keen. Anything coming in the market? I can see a Jabber Abdullah horse that seems to be going very well.
Yeah, at the moment, the favourite's still relatively strong. It has to be said. Sprite's come in a bit He's into around the 10-1 mark now. The favourite, the 3-1
Sprites.
chance. Now Zuna is the one they want to be with.
Travelling well in front still.
She
Last
is.
off the bit, as you might expect.
She is. She's unpestered, but now she presses the button. Carl Burke in your members section said this would be well handicapped.
Barry's is running quite a good race.
Here comes Mia Moore on the near side. Has she left it too
Barry's
late?
there.
This looks over, guys.
Whoosh.
Something's coming through in. The Zuna slightly back down in trip for Roger Varian. He's got a big
starting
day.
to tread
Is she going
water.
to get caught?
Yeah,
She's tying up a little
no,
bit.
it holds on this. It holds on.
On the far side, it holds on. This looks like quite strong form to me, lad. Just getting home with Sprite in front. Fair play if you stuck with the well-handicapped horse there. She came out in the betting. I said she might get bested up front. She didn't at all. Clifford Lee was able to control the race, which is what you want on a front runner, not to be unpestered, and away you go. Running on strongly, I think for third was the favourite Mia Moore and Nizuna for Roger Varian. What a season he's having. The target trainer, of course, course winner there as well, a little bit further there. Barry, let's come to you. Story of the market.
Mia Moore hit a low of 11-4 in running 3.75. Nizuna hit a low of even monies, would you believe, and then high of 19 for the winner.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I'm 19 for the winner. I mean, that's a bit surprising, isn't it?
It was because she was always in front. She was always going the right pace. Whereas the near side, I think the fact that he split in two meant Sprite got that easier lane than she might otherwise have managed. And that's really helped her out because Clifford Lee's got to go exactly the pace he wants. And in the end, he's judged it extremely well. And a horse that we thought might not stay, we didn't have a lot of time to talk about this race, a lot of people were of that view that she might not quite get home.
The
because
extra half a furlong.
Extra half furlong. Because Clifford Lee's got to do what he likes, she has got the best and most efficient ride and has then come home and won the race. It was a great ride in the front. I don't think you can say there's any benefit in terms of track position.
No.
That was a race won by pace.
Did you think early on that this was game over, or were you just looking for somebody to come? What happened to Tattoo? Was it just
There it is there.
Yeah, it just didn't really look like it was particularly happy at the start of the race, and that sort of theme continued through the rest of it, Dave. I just thought of the 2 furlong markers, Sprite looked really impressive when everything else had come off the bridle, and you still felt that the winner was still going away. Very impressive.
But even at that point, we expected that to be the case. It was then that she found and really settled it. And we said maybe a furlong out, didn't we? Oh, maybe this is her tying up. But she did keep on and obviously saw this extra trip out. So she's not just quick. She obviously can she's not just a speedball. Obviously quite a good filly.
That high of 19, Barry, let's come to you on this. There's a theory, isn't there? Bruce Millington often sits in these chairs on this panel where he's absolutely convinced that the Betfarians out there, these in-running players, love the closers. I guess that would be a strong case in point there. Are you there, Barry? Oh, we've lost Barry. That is a surprise. Across the Irish Sea, back the producers must go and get Barry. He will be back, don't worry. I don't think Barry's left that room, has he? Since lockdown began. You see him on other channels getting interviewed and things like that. He's always there.
He's got to get a complex now, isn't he? Next time you see him, he'll be in his kitchen when they do tomorrow.
It's not easy to give Barry or a complex, let me tell you that much. This gives us a chance then, chaps, to just reflect on what a week we've got coming up. I'll just tidy up the result for you. There it is on screen. Sprite then 10-1 beats Nizuna, the well-fancied Nizuna, and Mia Moore. Strong form race. I think that will be nursery handicap. The ground looked near on perfect to me, I think, for everyone as well. And as we said just before the race, wherever the pace is, that's probably where you want to be. Maybe mark up those 2 fillies.
I'm watching Tattoo. She's not had the clearest of runs you'll ever see. Not that you're saying she'd have got placed.
Are you trying to convince him to talk it? But he's not going to back it next time, are you?
No,
She's trapped there. Look there, she's really trapped.
I thought the big disappointment of the race was Sky Angel.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he's having a go now, isn't he?
Well, you mentioned it.
No. Other than my tipping, the big disappointment of the race was Sky Angel. But that's interesting because when you look at the 210, there's a horse called Great Vibes that finished in behind Sky Angel. But sort of your fancies of that horse are dictated by the way Sky Angel ran, and I wouldn't certainly be in a hurry to back Great
You can
Vibes.
maybe look at Sky Angel, what's happened to her, because she was beat a long way out. That early scrimmaging that she had there might have been enough just to affect how the rest of her race has gone. So yeah, I mean, Great Vibes beat her last time as well when they ran together. But yeah, I think Sky Angel, I'm going to be very generous to myself.
Barry, you're back. Barry, are you there, Barry?
I certainly am, Dave.
He's there, the unflappable Barry Orr. Barry, I was just saying to you, I don't know if you got that. I was saying that when Bruce Millington's in this seat with us, he often says he's absolutely convinced that the Betfarians out there, these in-running players, latch onto these closers where the front runners are sometimes often ignored. That was certainly a case in point. And I'm really surprised that she hit high 19 because she was totally unpestered there.
Yeah, I suppose so. I like it was no secret what was going to happen in terms of her going off in front. She'd done the same in Chester from a bad enough draw in box 5, but I suppose the doubt was her getting home. And while that didn't seem to be the case, there was no issues a furlong and a half down. But obviously, someone was taking her on.
Yeah, the doubt was about her getting home.
But
yeah, good point.
Betfair players will have gone into that race thinking, I might lace Bright later in the race when she's travelling best, when she's last off the bridle. And to be honest, until a furlong out, it went exactly as they thought the race would. It's that she's found that scuppered their plans, really.
Yeah, he's got some nice 2-year-old fillies, Carl Burke, isn't he? When are we going to see Dandala next?
Oh, yeah.
That's a good question, isn't it? She's, of course, the Albany winner at Royal Ascot, and then went to the July meeting, of course, and took the race out there as well. So Carl knows what he's got. And he did say in the member sections, a mark of 85 is absolutely fine for her. So let's hope you weighed in. Listen, we've got some great racing to bring to you today. We've got a group race coming up next. It is the May Hill Stakes, the Group 2. We've seen some serious fillies in this, and I'm really hoping that we see something special with Zabeel Queen, actually. Just before we move on to that race, I know Barry really likes one in that as well. Have we had a look at the ledger yet, chaps?
Quick one. I was obviously prepared. So I looked through the week at what was coming, and it's a funny old ledger this year, I think, because I don't think...
Isn't it a funny old ledger?
Well,
it's a funny old race, isn't it?
But it's a funny old ledger, and it's not that funny this year, because it's a long time since I think we saw quite as representative a group of the middle distance 3-year-old colts in the St Ledger. You know, normally it's really second division stuff that's going for this race, but there's quite a lot of the Premier League here, unfortunately. The whole division's bobbins this year, isn't it? So
well, after you, isn't it? There's no real standout.
I think none of them are any good.
No, exactly. You'll be looking at You won't be looking at a 4-year-old winning the Art next year, for example. No, probably not. Sandro, have you had a look?
I've had a very brief look.
Pile driver fan?
Yeah, I am a fan, and I like Willie Muir. I think he's probably a little bit underrated as a trainer, and I think it's a nice story with Pile Driver, isn't it? So who wouldn't like to see that horse go on and win the Ledger?
Yeah.
Quite a romantic story there, and
Well, yeah, that's a typical owner's point of view, isn't it? Punters don't give a monkeys about that. But is he just about the best horse in the race, Keith?
Possibly. The one I really like in the race is Hookham. I think that's the only horse. We talk about how bad the 3-year-olds are, and Pile Driver possibly is the best of them, actually, given what he did at York.
He's still unexposed, isn't he, Hookham?
Well, yeah, he's only had 5 runs, or maybe even 4.
Just thought it all went right for him at Ascot.
Everything, yeah, and obviously that turned out to be really good form. And then he's gone and beaten some second tier, but still some older horses that are probably going to be offering a little bit more than your average 3-year-old and winning that race at Newbury. When we slag off the 3-year-old form so much, why aren't you all backing the horse that's got the form against older horses?
Santiago?
No. Well, Santiago has, but that Goodwood Cup wasn't a race, was it?
Well, I don't know. Why wasn't it? I don't know. You tell
me.
Stradivarius
held in behind. AF Road got to kick on and do what he liked, and Santiago ran pretty well. But I just think Hookham's form and the fact that he's so unexposed, I think he should be favourite.
That's very interesting indeed. Big call, Barry. Just a word about the St Ledger. What about this? He looks like a serious horse to me. Joseph O'Brien's Galileo Chrome. He's coming over. There's been a gamble on that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, he was a 16-1 chance anti-post. I saw on some of the lists. He's into 11-2, fourth favourite now. Hookham 7-2. It's 11-4. Each of 4 at the top of the market. Santiago and Pile Driver. I'm with Keith here. I think Hookham is the one. It's only going to be his 5th race. I was impressed the way he beat Max Vega and Alnac in the Godfrey Freer, and I think he's a horse definitely going in the right direction, and he's less exposed than some of them.
Right. Okay. So Hookham, 2 ticks for that. Just a quick tip for the Ledger.
I'll go Pile Driver. It's not original, but Pile Driver.
Galileo Chrome for me, definitely a Group 1 horse in waiting. Winner in waiting.
2-mile horse, that though, isn't it?
You listen. Can you just give me a moment's peace, Keith Melrose? Listen, okay, let's move on because we do have a sizzling race coming up. It is the May Hill and Barry Orr. We've got 2 horses that have been, holding their positions in the market from powerful stables. I'm assuming that Roger Varian's very promising filly, the Zabeel Queen, is a nice, strong favourite.
Yeah, she looked a sort, didn't she, in Ascot when she won first time up, and she was 2.86, a high of 2.86 in the Exchange. She's under 6-4 now, and she's only heading in one direction, and that's south of it. She's 2.48. Indigo Girl, like you say, holding her price along with Zabeel Queen. She's currently a 4.1, which is just a 3-1 chance. Star of Emirati, the Solera winner, is currently a 10-1 chance. And Umbutu, the horse that I like in it, of Joseph O'Brien's, is currently 12.5.
Talk to me about Umbutu, Barry. Let's get this on now, and Keith can do your trading for you. Big step up, wasn't it, in that group race on her second start?
Yeah, traded at evens there, Dave, in that race, and I think the ground just probably told on her in the last half a furlong. But it was a massive step up on what she had done first time up. The better ground here today, I think, is definitely going to play into her favour. She's a daughter of Fastnet Rock, and when you consider that was only her second run in that Group 3 in Leopardstown, or in the Cur de Flame at Tara, she's only beaten a half a length in the short head. So it brings a pretty decent level of form to the table here, and I know that there is a nice bit of stable confidence about behind her, and she's the stable are in flying form, so he wouldn't be thrown a dart like this unless he thought it was going to be there or thereabouts. I suppose first and foremost, it's all about the black type, but after that, I think she's got a real sound each way chance. But I'm just going to back her to win. If Keith wants to do the honours there, I think she's currently trading about 12.5.
How much are we having?
Yeah, we're going to have 25 on her to win. But I'm also going to lay Zabeel Queen here. I just thought that race that she won, the thirds got beat at odds on since in an all-weather race, and I just didn't think that was mounting up to much. Now, obviously, she looks a serious filly, but I'm just going to take her on at the price she is now, around a 2.50, which is 6-4.
Are you going to lay her?
Are you fancying the lay of that, Barry? Oh, I think Barry got it in. And the Gremlins are definitely getting in with Barry Orr at the minute over the Irish seat. We will get him back. But I think you got the gist of it. He wants to take on Zabeel Queen.
I'm not going to lay her until he tells me to.
No, definitely don't be doing that. We've had that happen on this show before, and it's gone terribly wrong. Right, come on then, Keith. This is a preview that you did in the members section. I'm all over Zabeel Queen. Had dinner with a strong punter that I know last night. Absolutely convinced me that this wants the extra distance. I was looking at Indigo Girl of Gosden's. Call me whatever you like. I don't like a horse that debuts in a hood and second time. I just don't like it at all. I'm a bit disparaging on that front. So I'm happy to take her on, and I think this is a massive step up for her. I know that Zabeel Queen comes into it with just the one next to her name, but the way she hit the line after looking a little bit in some trouble, she's going to eat this distance, isn't she?
I would have said so. And the thing with this race as well is you've got Zabeel Queen and Indigo Girl, who had very different debuts. Indigo Girl was all about the visual impression, really. And if you just watched it with no other context, you'd say, oh, why is one half the price of the other when the one that basically won on the bit is Indigo Girl, who's the second favourite here. But Zabeel Queen, the time was excellent. They were only, 0.15 of a second slower than a listed
Barry's had a
race.
shocker here, hasn't he, wanting to take this one?
I think
this is a win.
Let's do it. Let's take it on.
Oh, he's
Did
back.
you want to lay it, Barry?
Barry, just pretend you've got it. Pretend you've gone again, Barry.
I always tell you, Barry, go to the toilet before this show starts, man. You've not got any breaks. You don't just have to press the pause button and then leave us, you know.
That remains to be seen, Keith. That's a great thing about this game. We're all in the dark until the race is run.
Well, Zabeel Queen, obviously,
take 25 quid out of her at 2.5.
I will take the 25 quid out, and I'll tell you why she's going to win.
Yeah, okay, all right.
For about, we lose
Done that. So that's been
quid,
she's been laid.
Sandro, are you with this as well?
I'm with Barry, but that's the bookmaker in me, and probably the bookmaker in Barry as well.
Because you were, for people that don't know, you spent a lot of time at Sky Bet.
I did, yeah. So and you know, but yeah, it was impressive on debut. But why wouldn't you want to take on a horse at 6-4 that's had one victory? You know, I think
it's Roger Varian. He's doing all right. She's blue-blooded, isn't she?
By Frankel out of a half-sister to Bowie.
Well, what more do you want? And what I loved about her at Ascot was, yes, she got the rail. The Hannon horse in second, Snow Lantern. That's obviously
she had to go around the
Sky
houses.
Lantern, isn't it? Yeah, she had to go around, didn't she? But they think a lot of her. She could hopefully be bound for a rough.
I think the point being that at the prices you're prepared to take as a layer, I think you're prepared to take the risk. You know, at 6-4 or 11-8, around that price, I think you're happy to take it on as a layer.
So you like Ubuntu?
I like Ubuntu, and being very stubborn and pig-headed that I have been called once or twice, I'm going to stick with Great Vibes as well. I think if we forgive Sky Angel, because I'm trying to build bridges here.
I'm not going to get
a long show ahead of us, boys. You don't want to be, I mean, I can sit between.
Well, I feel like I'm refereeing you two currently, but yeah, I'd have a little win-only bet on Great Vibes at a big price, around 44, 46.
For George Scott, who of course beat that Sky Angel, which was an absolute flopper, but you just forget about that and think, all right. big jump there. All right, so look, you're getting an idea of what we like here in the Mayhill. Just Keith, quickly, what sort of horse needs to win this? What sort of horses have won this? Let's go back. I've got my race form.
Well, I was having quite a nerdy discussion with myself in the preview for this. A lot of the 7 furlong group races earlier in the season have actually been below average because the sort of horses that win those races haven't had the time on the track to prepare like they would in normal years. Whereas maybe at some point this autumn they're going to catch up. And it's just a case of whether it's happened already. The 2 mile listed races we've had so far have had up to scratch winners on ratings. It might be that the longer distance 2-year-olds are starting to get to where they need to be.
Is that because of the year we've had?
Oh, of course. Of course it is. I mean, it wasn't until June that you got the 5 furlong 2-year-olds out, and they'd normally be running by March. So everything was delayed. It delays these horses that are bred for a mile 2, even a mile 4 next year, which a lot of these fillies are. Yeah. It delays them in coming out because they can't compete with the speedballs that are getting out in the first few weeks of the season. And I think that's why the 7 furlong races were generally poor in the early part of the year in relative terms. It's just a case that at some point in the autumn that's going to break down, I think, because it's not that they're a bad bunch, it's that they're delayed in where they need to go.
We could do with seeing a star, couldn't we?
Yeah, well, I think Battleground, are they both going to run on at the weekend? Battleground and Master of the Sea or whatever it's called.
Are they? Barry will have to tell us that.
They're the two best.
Master of the Sea,
I'll try and get that.
Yeah, they're the 2 best 7 furlong 2-year-olds I've seen this season.
Battleground
like,
is
away.
Well named, isn't he? So yeah,
good horse. That
very good horse.
They're 2 very good horses. They're the only 2 real. But that's the thing.
Fillies wise, this could be. Listen, I honestly think I'm going to see something pretty exciting here.
I've got even more hope than I have, and I think I don't often bet 64 shots, but I do think Zabeel Queen will win this, and you've got more faith than I have.
I do, which is slightly worrying, isn't it? But no, I absolutely do, yeah. I just think this wins. Barry Orr doesn't. He's laid it, unbelievably, and Ubuntu as well. Barry often gets these things right as well. So has that caused the market to change, Barry, or is she hardening up at the top?
Yeah, she's very strong, it has to be said. I think she was 2.52 when we laid her just a couple of minutes ago. She's 2.38 now. She's just absolute bombs of money for a 4.2 Indigo Girl. Star of Emirati, I don't know whether you've spoken about her yet. She hit a high of 750 in running.
750?
700 wow. Or 740 in running on the July course when she won the Solera. I went unconsidered that day as well at 66-1, but was it a massive fluke? I'm not so sure. She's gone and she's done it well. Obviously, we don't know the form of the race, how that's going to stack up against these. Because a few of these, it looks like could take a big step forward, obviously. But she's still unconsidered in the market. Star of Emirati at around the 11-1 mark.
Well, she's top rated for this race on Racing Post ratings, and
she has to be though.
Well, she has because yes, but her rating is 101. And in the last 10 years, the top rating has always been 103 or higher.
102, you nearly got it right.
Oh, was it 102?
102. This is betting editor, don't forget, the Racing Post.
They've changed that overnight. I'm going to have a word with somebody. Because that was a... No, wait, no, that's... No,
you're in charge of hiring the handicappers. So
it's the Racing Post rating is 101, Dave. Have a look.
102 is the official rating, isn't it?
Yeah, I said RPRs.
Oh, did you? Okay, we'll have to go back on that. Did he say RPRs? I'm not. He did. They're saying he did.
Get in. Get it up,
okay. 2-0. Fair enough. All right, happy days.
It's a long way back from there, Dave.
There's a big net now all of a sudden, isn't it? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So... No, 101 is by far the lowest there's been in the race, or significantly lower than it has been in the race coming in for about 10 years.
Average Racing Post rating that has won this, just looking down.
It's about 107-ish, isn't it? 108.
He's an annoying bloke.
In fact, 107.5 because I did it.
The last 2 have been 107. Powerful Breeze won it last year. Fleeting, you remember Fraden O'Brien. What a frustrating filly she turned out to be. Lawrence, the mighty Lawrence, took this for Carlberg in 2017. And you've got to go back to the likes of Certified Lyric of Light. She was a proper notcher, wasn't she? Back in 2011, they're the best. But you're right. So look, there is room for something. Can a horse like... This is interesting with the favourite in mind, isn't it? It's a Zabeel Queen. Make that sort of jump on their second start. It's
of course
huge.
They can. Remember, these. Look at the good winners of these races. Lawrence became a miler, but was fancied as an Oaks filly, won the Prix de Diane. Certified Lyric of Light, White Moonstone, Roll. I think they all went anti-post favourite for the Oaks after they won this race. They're the sort of fillies that win this race because it's the first group race over a mile for 2-year-olds in the season in Europe anyway. And these are Oaks fillies, basically. And you expect Oaks fillies to make big jumps from first run to second. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's no problem with that.
Okay, so Star of Emirati, a horse having its 6th run, and it looked like it came over the top, didn't it, of Dubai Fountain, who reopposes. Dubai Fountain, course winner, one of these typical Johnson horses, expect it to be the pace angle. Where do you stand, Sandro, over these Johnson horses? They keep running. When do you jump off and when do you like to come back on them more?
I suppose in a race like this, it's a case of looking at, I suppose, pedigree and potential over experience, isn't it? As a rule, I think with 2-year-olds and the younger horses, I do feel racecourse experience is absolutely critical. We've all seen plenty of good horses still look a little bit green, a little bit naive out on track, who go on and have, incredible careers. So I think there's a lot to be said for getting extra runs into horses. I suppose the counter argument is, this is a very, very top class filly in the favourite. We shall see. I'd be inclined to lean towards experience.
Mark Johnson doesn't have a great record in this race, actually. Neither does John Gosden in recent years. Although in your members section, Dave, if you're reading your paper, he did mention that that Lilac's owner, Indigo Girls owner, George Drawbridge, did win this with Rainbow View. Do you remember that massive talking horse?
It wasn't a talking horse. She was really
she
good.
won the Fillies Mile, didn't she?
Yeah, she was one of the best 2-year-olds.
What happened? It's best 2-year-olds. That's right.
But she was a very forward 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
That didn't handle. I mean, she might have won the Guineas, but it was a road that day, wasn't it?
If you've been in racing for around about 20 years, or longer, like myself and Keith have, and sort of analysing, Rainbow View was a proper buzz horse, wasn't she?
Well, yeah, she was buzz. But again, she achieved a lot. It was over the winter. She was 5-4 for the Guineas, wasn't she?
Bit of a pin or two.
Well, there was a lot of that, and she never really did it.
Yeah.
So she'd definitely be the fastest dynaformer I've ever seen. That's the most stamina-laden sire in America, or it was. Is it even still alive?
Good question. I wouldn't be able to
But
tell you.
they all stayed those dynaformers, but she was a fast 2-year-old, which was
Talking of fast 2-year-olds, Barry, I want to come to you with this. There's a wild drifter in this race. Lilac Road for William Haggis and Tom Marquand. Powerful firm. Took out the 2-year-old mile record at Doncaster last time, so the course and distance winning the race. From what I can see, cannot get rid of that one.
No, 19 now on the exchange from a low of 10. So, yeah, the graph's only going one way, and that's up that direction. And it's one that likes to be up at the pace as well, doesn't it? So I'd expect to see her and Dubai Fountain set a decent gallop here. But the favourite, it's all about the favourite now. 2.30 was 2.22 just a couple of seconds ago into 2.28, so there's absolute bombs of money for the Jollies at Beale Queen. I think out of there's about 400 grand match so far pre-race, and 250 of it is on the favourite. So that'll give you an indication of how punters are treating this.
Yeah, Indigo Girl holds her price.
You look at general markets and how we look back at the end of the year, bookies all send out the highest turnover races of the year. Betfair shows you the same. And what always comes out of those is that if there's one horse in a race in which people take a view one way or the other, those tend to be really high turnover races. Remember when Black Caviar came over for the might have been the Golden Jubilee, then might have been the Diamond.
Don't get me started on this. I always call it the wrong one.
It was the year of the Diamond Jubilee, so it might have been the Diamond Jubilee the first time. Anyway, she came over for it, and it was one of the highest turnover races of the year. She went off 1-12. But
did she really?
Yeah, it was really short. It was in that region.
That when she nearly got caught in the shadows of the post.
Yeah, she did. But
with Luke Nolan, wasn't it?
Sort of race.
The
point is, it's a sort of race I would never
Didn't do his homework.
I would never have dreamt of having a bet in that race, unless it was each way or something. But it was a really high turnover race because people took a view one way or the other on Black Caviar. And races like this was a Beale Queen. Everybody, we've talked about the race, we've all got an opinion on Zabeel Queen, no matter who we're backing in the race.
2-4, 2 against, just to remind you out there if you're watching.
That's the mindset of the punter, though, isn't it? From Barry would agree, and experience of working for betting companies. Punters like to kind of have their mind made up for them to a certain extent. They'll have the final say. The one thing they hate, they don't like weak markets. They don't like races where you're betting maybe 4-1 the field or something like that. But give them an even money fav, and like exactly to Keith's point, everyone has an opinion, don't they? And it's what punters live for, because it's
happy
the
to
debate.
live and die by the coin toss.
Exactly.
No comment. Okay, social media comments have come in. Have we got the opening show? And we've got Kenneth Turner, I should say. Lilac Road to win from start to finish. Think she'll make all. So glad we gave her a mention for you there. And we've got one more coming in. Stakehead. That's a mirror of me. Star of Emirati, Dubai Fountain, split stake wins for me. So going back to that new market form.
If he wins, will you see well done?
Very good indeed. That's a rare comment. Boom, boom. All right, so listen, I'm a bit surprised at Star of Emirati. They're around about the same sort of price, Barry, aren't they? But are there any match bets? Or what sort of other markets have you got on this? Because we want to learn about the exchanges we're going, the novices out there, or indeed the seasoned pros out there. There must be another angle in this race. Remind the punters what you've done.
Yeah, the top two in the market, you can back A versus B. So A being Zabeel Queen against Indigo Girl. So that's a match bet for you. It's 2s on Zabeel Queen to finish in front of Indigo Girl, who's just 2-1 against. You can do the reverse forecast. You can bet each way. You can bet place. Standard place terms here would be 3 places. You can bet 2 places. You can bet 4 places. Or like I say, the reverse forecast is there as well. They're all listed off. Obviously, the various different permutations, too many to name here. But I think 6 beat 9 or 9 beat 6 is around the 24-1 mark. So, there's loads going on there.
And where are you expecting your Ubuntu to sit in the pack then, Barry? Just sort of stalk? I don't believe it. He's not pressed the pause button again, has he? That bladder of Barry's today, I'll tell you what. He's
getting off before the race starts.
Yeah,
he knows what's coming.
He's a man that does like to do some trading. We'll get Barry back again, of course. But listen, the guys in the studio can more than ably steer the ship. Not a problem whatsoever. They're just ambling around down at the start. A couple still going down. At the time of the first race we covered, guys, here, let me just remind myself, it was 2.436 slower. So that's good ground, isn't it, Keith? Good ground.
Yes, basically it is good ground out there. So don't get too bogged down in the ground. Remember what I say here when I say don't get too bogged down in the ground. Because the one horse I really fancy today, it's all about ground. So,
I mean, that is absolutely, for one man that has built his professional career on not worrying too much about the ground.
Well, because I'm not going to worry too much about the ground.
So this is, come on.
It's Monica Sheriff in the big race. Everybody thinks she wants the mud.
The haggis horse.
Yep. Her dam showed her form. She only had about 6 runs, but showed her form on heavy and good to firm. There's this perception that Monica Sheriff needs it to be testing. I don't think without that perception, she would be half the price she is. So she's my big bet of the day. So when I say take the ground out, the ground's fine for everybody. I'm maybe trying to convince myself a little bit, but it's always what I've thought. I've always been not so much of a ground punter, so it's very much a sort of horse that I need to be getting tucked into.
She was probably the eye catcher of the Ebor Festival, wasn't she?
Yeah, really did. I mean, she got absolutely murdered in that race. Yeah. She should have gone very close, and she's only £2. That performance was £3 off top in this race. Would she run £3 better with a clear run? Of course she would.
Yeah, fair enough. And we will find out about Monica Sheriff today. That is an absolutely fascinating race coming up, of course, a little bit later on. It's a penultimate race on the show. So let's get to a social then before we try and find Barry back.
I'm here.
Oh, he's there. Welcome back, Barry. That's a hat trick now of pauses. OK, Joshua Harper. Good to have you, Josh. Never doubt the Gosden horse's second time out. That right.
Even if they're mad.
So should we talk a bit more about Indigo Girl? What about the Yarmouth race she won?
It's hard.
The favourite was pulled out of that race because they had quite a lot of rain, didn't they?
Yeah, it was soft ground, which might have.
She's out of a Monsieur mare, isn't she? You know, that's a strong soft ground influence.
Nothing else was going forward at the finish. That's the other thing I said. I mean, she did win on the bridle, but
3 lengths from a horse called Final Thought of Side Binzer.
She was a little bit green as well, even without even taking the hood into consideration.
Nothing has run. It's just that hood, isn't it? I don't know about that. Well, Josh, okay, fair enough.
It's all visual. Whereas Zabeel Queen has, I think there's more behind Zabeel Queen.
I just like it when one of these flashy, fancy horses gets off the bridle and comes home strong. We're about to find out what's going to take out the 2020 Mayhill. Good luck to you. They're in
11 to 10.
11 to 10. Whoa, if you're on at 13 to 8, 6 to 4, get ready. We could be having some wade in.
What if you've laid it at 2.4?
The question I'd have for Barry, would you lay it again? Would you go in and lay it again at that price, Barry?
Well, I think let's face it, he probably would be, wouldn't he? Okay, so listen, we're just waiting on great vibes. Sandro Di Michele likes that in the studio. The last ones are tucked in. It's difficult to see from the screen we're on, but it looks that way. We're expecting to buy Fountain to be up there early. Another pace angle, Lilac Road, for one of our social comments there. What else are we looking at? Star of Emirati likes to get on with it. Where will Zabeel Queen sit from stall 1 on the flank? Will Andrea Azzini get the cover?
Desperate for a lead, won't he? That's what he'll want.
And we're out. She's just had a little jump out, but she's out fine. Everything pretty much away.
Behind Lilac Road. He's trying to get behind Lilac Road, but he's not getting let in.
No, he's not. So she's keen the fav.
Yeah, out to 7-4 as soon as they jumped from the traps. A bit of a bumping match there because she was on the flank. She saw a bit too much daylight, but 7-4 chance now.
Tucking her in
He's
now,
got
Barry.
her, he's got her behind Lilac
Has that
Rose.
made any difference, Barry? She come back in?
Yeah, 6-4 now.
6-4. Okay, Star of Emirati's got a lovely position, but taking it up. Lilac Road is indeed up there. A little bit green.
She's still a bit keen, Zabeel Queen.
She's still a bit queen, but she's still a bit keen. But out comes the Buy Fountain as expected.
Indigo Girl's last.
Back marker is Indigo Road. Frankie Dettori in that hood, meant to settle them, pacify it. She's settled okay. Ubuntu, Barry, just on and off the bridle so far.
Yeah, out to 33-1, Dave.
And now Indigo's making road. Sandro Di Michele, what do you like in this at this stage? Halfway.
That is a very good question. It's a Zabeel Queen. It does look like
Indigo
a little
Girl
bit under there now.
Ubuntu's coming back on the bridle. Okay, with 3 furlongs out.
Frankie
Dubai
is on
Fountain
the
still
bits.
controlling the race. Great vibes trying to get in it. Star of Emirati. Here comes the Bill Queen. We saw it at Ascot last time. She could produce.
Nothing's going
What
better
we
than Dubai
find?
Fountain.
Look at Frankie Dettori on the near side. Sweeping from last and near about first at this point. Everything's got a chance to favour it now down the centre. Oh, she looks a little bit classy, lads. She's pulling it out. The 2 market leaders to go for it. Dubai Fountain, the experience, looks like she's going to uphold that form. It's going to be an absolute stormer of a finish here.
Frankie
Indigo
wins.
Road. Oh, she's quirky, but she is good. Is this another rainbow view? Too good for them. Zabeel Queen just a little bit too keen over the extra furlong. Dubai Fountain in second and Lilac Road running on for fourth. Keith Melrose, what do you make of that form?
That I don't often say this, even though people give me the sort of reputation of that. It is a race where I'd like to see what happens sectional-wise in that race, because Frankie made a big move about halfway in that race, moved up Indigo Girl from the back, right out the back, up to third or fourth, up abreast with the leaders. And it's either a bit of genius from Frankie Dettori to move up at the slowest part of the race. If she's done it at a fast part of the race, she's just a damn good horse.
Well, he is a genius. We know that. Let's go to Barry All there, get the story of the market. That usually tells us exactly what happened.
Yeah, the favourite hit a low 2.06, and not as short as some might have thought she could have gone. Your winner hit a high of 5.4. And the runner-up, Dubai Fountain, 4.9. The winner gets a quote of 14-1 for next year's Guineas. And pleased to say, it didn't cost us any money there. Ubuntu, the market spoke volumes against it, and it ran accordingly. But we took the Ubuntu stake, we took that out of the favourite, and the favourite got chinned. So it doesn't cost us any money.
And we got the lay of the fav in, didn't we? I mean, before we dissect this form, okay, we've got a social comment. Let's get it. Joshua Harper told you, lads. Indeed, you did, Joshua.
There's a seat here for you, Joshua.
There is a seat here. Well, at the moment, it's a bit tricky to get others in, but we'll hopefully change that going on. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, fair play to you out there. Tell them, what do you make of that? Where do you go next? It's got to be Philly's Mile, isn't it?
You'd have thought so.
You'd have thought so. Yeah. Rockfell maybe along the way comes up a bit quick.
It's a bit quick. That's 2 weeks away, isn't it? Because I'm still on holiday when it gets run. So I'm ignoring that race.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Do you know what Keith said to me earlier? I said, did you watch a ride at Newcastle anyway? We won't tell you what it was or throwing it on the bus. But you said, you're only watching Saturday racing.
I've only got time at the moment. It's a very, very busy time for us.
You became a father, of course, during lockdown?
Well, for the second time.
For the second time?
Yeah,
was it?
so
Okay,
I've got two. Well, that's the thing. With one, I could watch stuff, but not with two.
Hands full, isn't it? I'm still managing to, man, so I don't know.
How old are you two?
5 and 1 year old I've got.
So a 5-year-old must be studying form already.
Loves the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely loves the game.
That's the spirit.
Yeah, we're going to get him some Ballydoyle silks, I think, at the moment we can get over there. But yeah, my Sebastian absolutely loves the game. Sandro Di Michele, let's come to you on this then. 100 to 30 favourite, and obviously the most talented horse in the race. Would you give the Fav another chance because of that flank and not settling?
Yeah, I suppose you would give it another chance. Whether it's at the level of the winner, though, I think is a big question.
I'd agree with that. I think you could maybe say she was the second best horse.
Yeah. And I think moving forward with Indigo Girl, very, very exciting where they go. The Guineas would be the obvious target next season, wouldn't it? But you just wonder whether she might even want further than that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I tell you what, I didn't do a pedigree in great detail yesterday, so excuse me, gentlemen. I'm going to go away and
You
check
go
on
and do that. Well, I'll tell you, we've had 3 races so far at Donny today. Logician came back, the 10-1 on-shot. Where do they go with Logician? That's an interesting question, isn't it?
We were asking that off.
We
were asking off air, weren't we? What did they do with that horse? They've got Mishra for the Champion Stakes. They've got Enable for the Arc.
Yeah.
What
I think it will be British Champion Stakes, but then
so?
Yeah, he's an 8-1 chance for the Champion Stakes.
Is he? Okay. What is the fav at the minute with you, Barry, for the Champion Stakes? Is it Gaiath?
Gaiath.
Yeah.
I did do the Indigo Girl's pedigree. She is a sister to Journey.
Okay, who wants a bit of ground, doesn't it?
Yeah, once what she was a 1.5 mile horse
Yeah.
in autumn, was when she really came into
Talking
her
about
own.
Champions Day, she ran at Champions Day. I was there that day.
Yeah, she won. She won the fillies and mares, didn't
There
she?
you go.
So, yeah, Indigo Girl, sister to Journey. So, give us an Oaks quote, Barry.
Give us an Oaks quote, Barry. There you go. Let Barry work on that one. Okay, so look. Let us know where do you go with Logician? Thinking that Gayeth runs, of course, in the Irish Champions Stakes. I'm a little surprised by that. We'll get to that later on the show. If you want us to dissect it here on RP Live, real-time analysis. That is what you get. Unmissable show it is. Myself, Dave Orton, Sandro Di Michele, the Midas owner himself, and the betting editor, Keith Melrose, and steering the ship all the way over from Dublin, Betfair's big hitter himself, Barry Orr. We're loving the social comments. Keep them coming. Facebook Live or indeed YouTube as well. Plenty more to go. So 3 races they've had at Donny so far. We've covered 2. 2 have gone to John Gosden, the powerhouse operation. Okay, shall we move on, chaps? We've seen a pretty solid Mayhill there, we think. What sort of figure do you reckon she'll get, just quickly?
What were the margins? She's won by a length and...
Length and a bit?
Dubai Fountain. Hold on, let's have a look then.
You don't know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head. She'll get... she'll get, for that, it'll be 105, 107 beer form, but she'll get put up. She'll get extra on top of the result.
What, because she's a gozzer?
No, just because she's won pretty comfortably, and handicappers know she's a good horse. And what handicappers tend to do, and the Racing Post are probably, they're not as bad for this as either the BHA or Timeform. Handicappers make up what they want to get the figures they want.
As an owner with a horse that's been severely handicapped, I
Which
completely
is
agree. Brains.
Jamie Osborne source, of
Yeah.
course. I thought he was going to nearly win at Ascot the other day.
Yeah, so did I. And then the wheels came off, didn't they, in drastic fashion.
Yeah.
Brains by name and brains by nature. He is a bit quirky.
He went on, if you don't know the horse we're talking about, look out on your website now, this is Brains. He went on a real roll in the all-weather, didn't he?
Yeah, he did an unbelievable role for us. When he won on his handicap debut, he was rated 53. He was rated 93 when he got into the Silver Hunt Cup at Ascot, and he went on this unbelievable run of, like, he had a 4-timer, and it was the handicapper was just hammering him every time. You know, he'd put him up 10, he'd put him up 11 pounds, and there's an element. I know, look, we're talking about very different class horses here, just to be clear. So I'm not for one second trying to compare Brains to what we've just witnessed there.
Just add some more on if you're listening, handicappers. Yeah.
but essentially what they do, you know, they can be very heavy-handed. The handicapper,
What
very
happened
heavy-handed.
with horse like Brains winning through with the all-weather season? One of my favourite angles from a handicapping point of view is the all-weather form and summer jumping form is essentially guff. And any horse with turf form against all-weather horses or winter form against summer horses over jumps has just got much better form almost by definition. And with Brains, when you get a horse like Brains who's really improving in the all-weather season, he's not going to face all informed horses. So handicappers smash him because they know that putting him up £5-6, which is probably what he deserves if everything else is equal, they just go, well, if I put him up 5 or 6, he'll still win next time because he's going to be running against muck next time. So they just put him up that extra little bit to try and keep their things level.
I think I might agree with you on the jump side of things. I'm not sure
It's
about
not.
the all-weather.
Tell you what, all weather's much better than summer jumps. That is fair.
Yes.
There's no question to that one. But it's all relative. A horse with, I would still, when you get February, March time, and you get a winter horse coming to take on these, a summer horse, a turf horse taking on some of these all-weather horses that have been going all winter on the all-weather, their form is always just a bit better. It is more pronounced over jumps. That's fair.
I think what was interesting as well was there was, I can't remember where, it might have been after he won at Chelmsford and he was put up, I think, another £8.
This is Brains, yeah?
Yeah, this was Brains.
Hosed up, didn't
and we went back to the handicapper. For an explanation. And like when your computer's broken, right? And you get the IT, you get the IT guy
for an explanation. What do you do? Write to him?
Yeah. You're right. You send them an email and try and get an understanding of how they've arrived at their decision. And it just reminded me.
You have to send 5 before you get an answer.
Exactly. It reminded me of trying to get my computer fixed by one of these IT geeks. And they just bamboozle you, completely bamboozle you with their rationale and start coming up with terminology and languages and sort of form lines and in the end you sort of
and it was such a view. Is that frustrating?
It was such a detailed explanation that you you were in no position to question it because it was going to take you about 4 weeks just to dissect it and understand what the handicapper meant.
That's normally what happens when they've had to make something up a bit.
But fair play to the handicapper for justifying what they did.
Well, the thing is, that's with handicapping. You'd think it's a real numbers game, but a lot of the time it is just identifying what you think a horse should be and getting numbers to fit.
Yeah, right.
There'll be good race readers to begin with, you know. So which race are we talking about here, Sandro? We're looking at. Is this the one between his 2 Chelmsford wins?
Yes.
So was it Dom Gardner Hill that you got in touch with?
I'm not.
Because he does the milers, you see, and he's ahead of the handicap in there now.
Are you throwing Dom under the bus there?
No, I'm just asking who the handicapper was I spoke to. I'm very nosy about it.
I can't remember, but I will dig out the explanation for
fine,
you.
yeah.
You are a bit nerdy about handicaps.
I'm a little bit. It is a little bit of my sort of dad in the shed thing. Is handicapping. But,
well, okay, fair enough. So look, we're going back to our last win at Indigo Road there. She was slow at the time.
Tell you what, you have used every suffix for that.
I have.
Indigo's always been fine.
I have.
It is called Indigo Girl, Indigo Rose, Indigo Roads.
It's Indigo Hood, we should call her. That's the other thing to mention as well. So she's got a kink there, but if any man's going to get it out of her, it's John Goss as well. Slow point 2.84. You're punting out a Racing Post rating of?
I think she'll get about 107 for that.
Woo, 107. That is a big jump up. Filly's Mile then, that's coming on. We're around about around about 15 minutes away from our next race here on RP Live. That gives us a chance just to talk about a rather big topic that hit the town more yesterday. And racing, once again this summer, racing finds itself on the front page of tabloids. Why? Because we're spearheading. We were going to have, what was it? How many spectators were at the track yesterday? Was it 3,500?
It was meant to be 3,500.
And it was supposed to be 6,000 today, Friday, and Saturday going forward. All of a sudden, the plug is pulled. From an owner's point of view, have you been on track during lockdown?
I haven't.
Have you had the opportunity to?
I know
you couldn't watch Brains for personal reasons the other day, but how have you found that? Because you are a syndicate.
Yeah. Look, that's a very small syndicate. There's 6 of us in it, and I was saying to Keith,
That's lucky.
That's lucky. Yeah, it is. Look, Ascot were wonderful. The guys had a wonderful day on Friday, treated unbelievably well, and actually, I think there's something, especially at a course like Ascot, there's something really nice, I think, about being able to go there and almost have the run of the place. To be honest,
that's interesting.
And I suppose the way I look at it is, we're living in very, very unique times. Just take it for what it is. Go out and enjoy. Turn around and say in 3 or 4 years' time, do you remember the time we went to Ascot as owners and we were one of only 100 people on the course? Enjoy it, use it as an experience, and just be thankful that we're allowed to be there. Because in the big scheme of things, certainly as far as I'm concerned, there are far more important things for us to worry about than whether, as an owner, I'm allowed on a race course or not.
We'll get to what Keith thinks in a minute, because I know exactly what he thinks. But do you think that there has been a bit too much moaning going on then from owners?
Everyone's got their own story.
Get off the fence, Sandro. Come on.
In answer, yes. Yeah, look, let's be honest. Horse racing's wonderful. We live and breathe it. It means a great deal to us. But in the climate we currently live in, given a bit of perspective, it isn't the most important thing that's going on at the moment. So if we can get on the race course, wonderful.
Yeah.
If we can't, let's just hope that racing's still in existence and we've got enough money in our pocket that we can still own racehorses.
And in much fewer words, I'm sure you're about to use.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is, the nuanced version of my opinion is very, very similar to that. I think at the more extreme ends of the gripes we've heard from certain owners, it whiffs a bit of entitlement, I think, at the very worst ends of it. But I think absolutely the underlying point for most of it is exactly what Sandro says. It is that we are in the middle of a global pandemic here, lads. Take 18 months. This isn't going to last forever. Nothing makes you special, frankly, and we need to just we all need to do what is necessary to get to a point where we can all go back on the track.
In April, we'd have bitten your hands off for this, wouldn't you? So
that's very true.
Absolutely, and I think we'd be far better if we could be of the mindset we're all in this together. We're all in the same boat. Let's pull together and let's get ourselves through as a sport, whether that's, you guys as journalists, whether that's owners, whether that's trainers, the BHA, whoever. We're all on board. Let's all get on this together and let's make sure we come out the other side as strong as we possibly can.
Well, coming out the other side is the worry, I guess, isn't it? When you're looking at some of the numbers, Lee Motta said today in the paper, he made his comment, didn't he? And he said basically the numbers aren't looking good. for COVID or whatever, but the numbers looking even worse for racing. So read that piece by Lee. Let us know what you think of it.
I think what has happened, though, where I will have a lot of sympathy with owners, is that the prize money situation that we've found ourselves in is that I think it's really just taken the last fig leaf off the funding problem we have in British racing. Prize money here has never been any good, and as soon as the small stream that we have comes back in and doesn't exist anymore, you must know yourself the prize money's been appalling this year.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. And owning a horse in Ireland where prize money is better,
This is seamless, because you know who we're going to go to now, don't you?
You do get the ability to look at both sides of it.
Yeah, Barry, just quickly on this, last word from you on the ownership and crowds and all that sort of thing. What's the outlook in Ireland at the minute? When are we expecting to see any spectators back at the Curragh, for example?
Yeah, I don't think it's a massive issue for race fans over here, to be perfectly honest with you. Not the way that the crying that's going on in England around it.
Crying?
Yeah, the crying, yeah. At the moment, I think there's a certain amount of equanimity that, that we are racing and that it's been ran safely and that people are still able to get their livelihoods and still able to get paid every week. And I think that's what's important over here at the moment in terms of the Irish, for flat racing anyway, don't attend race courses in the same numbers as they do in the UK. It's just not as popular over here. Obviously, this weekend would be your big weekend in terms of attendances on course, but it's not a massive loss. The big earners for the race courses over here is the media rights, and that's what's keeping their head above water at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. So, well, perhaps we need to have a little look at ourselves over here. We'll be doing that. Let's move on, though, guys. We could go on about this all the time. Let us know what you think about this. Are you an owner out there watching? Have you got a different opinion? Keith Melrose says you're entitled. Unbelievable scenes.
Wouldn't be like the Englishman to loudly complain, would it?
No, of course not. Absolutely not. I'm going to complain that we're not looking, of course, at the sales race, which is coming up at 2:40. So let's do that right now. Oh, goodness gracious me. We go back to a big field, minefield, or is it? Are there any pearls out there? Barry Orr, give us a market update for the 2:40.
5.5, which is 92 Yazaman. Uncle Jimbo currently 6.2, 5-1, 8-1 Collins Bay, Cairn Island around the 10-1 mark, and it's 12-1 bar. If we got our business done early here, I'm taking on Yazaman in the place market. Keith, he's currently a 5-4. Oh, is there a bit of mumbling there? Is the same as I was taking on the favourite in the last buzzer?
I'm agreeing with you, actually, Barry. This time I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Mumbling there. Where's Sandro? I think I'd harden here. I was only going to take
with
the
you.
pony out,
Listen, first of all, you said that us Englishmen are crying. Now you think I'm mumbling about your selection. No, I think this is...
All I'm asking you, Barry, is whether you want to roll the big dice and lay in 4 places.
No. We're just going to go standard 3 places here.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't get greedy, Keith. It's the enemy of the bunker. You know that.
This is why Barry Orr survived an aeon in the industry.
2.30. Obviously, he's got the best form coming into the race he has in the Windsor Castle July Stakes in the Richmond, but they're replacing the blinkers with visors. His last run was probably his worst, and he might just be taking a back step. So I'm happy to take him on at 2.30.
For 25 quid?
Yeah, take 25 quid out of him. Now, I think we're only going to get about 12 quid of that match. The rest will go over into the other side as a back bet. So it's someone we're looking to come in and back that horse with us at 2.30. No, we're all done.
Yep,
excellent.
So it's partially matched, and we've got...
I think we're all done. 2.30.
We're all on. We are all on now. Yep, it was in two lots there.
So Yazaman is the horse you want to take on. Are you backing anything, Barry? Are you with one that the punters might be able to latch on if they fancy? What do you think is going to win the race?
Listen, I just thought if I had to pick one now, I'd prefer to be a layer and a backer in this race, Dave. And I just think, like I said, there's a bit of value taking the favourite on in 3 places. But if I had to back one, it'd be Line of Departure for Roger Varian, the horse that won the Yarmouth Nursery off 74 and then won... 79 and then won an Ascot then off 79, rated 84 now, horse going in the right direction, and young David Egan, a jockey I really rate. So Line of Departure if I was having a bet, but I think the play is to take on the favourite in the place mark.
If Frankie Dettori has gone for Roger Varian's other horse, Dark Lion, it's got blinkers on. We'll get to him in a minute. So Barry's giving you the market moves. He's giving you his plays. Let's hope you've got time to react to that as well. Taking on the big favourite. Let's get some social media comments in. Coming in thick and fast as we like them. Matthew Bristow. Matthew, welcome along to the party. I like Cairn Island in the 2:40. The race coming up. 1 of 3 for Kevin Ryan. I can tell you the stable are hopeful of taking this race out for a third time in 10 years.
What with Dave?
We'll get to him. Sorry?
What with, Dave?
Oh, that's it. Oh, no, let's not go there. Me and Keith have been talking about this, and we will get to that. They've got 3. I tried to find out the buzzer. I came up short. Here we go. Adam Waltham. Uncle Jumbo will do me, but it's a tough race. Another Kevin Ryan horse, and another comes in. Who we got? Jack Toohill. Line of Departure. Going in with Barry Orr. Nice form boost yesterday. Eagle-eyed out there in your members section. Got time to look at some videos, guys, on this. Let's concentrate then on Uncle Jumbo and Ken Island. First of all, one of 3 for Kevin Ryan. I spoke to Adam Ryan, the trainer's son and assistant. Gave me Black Caspian as a horse to follow this week. Runs later on in our last race here on RP Live. We'll get to that. But the race they were more hopeful of taking home the prize was this race. And I said, oh, which one's the buzzer? And he said, you tell me. So that's big help, isn't it? So Keith Melrose, come on. I like Uncle Jumbo because if you watch back his run at York, rather than Ken Island, who won at that meeting, I thought everything went right and the track was perfect. I think this extra half furlong for Uncle Jumbo, watch it back in your replays. You'll find it hard to disagree. He's been well backed as well. Course winner, of course, on his debut. He's going to eat this, isn't he?
Possibly. I do. I like the fact he's got form in one of these big sales races. It is the sort of thing I like to see because a lot of these 2-year-olds have done most of their running in little field races that they can potentially dominate, whereas Uncle Jumbo has done it in a big field sales race. So that is a big positive for me. The way the market's gone suggests to me that if there is one that the Ryans particularly fancy, it probably is this one.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see why this one is the fancied one, and I'm not putting anybody off that. I've smiled a bit more every time somebody's mentioned Line of Departure because I struggle to split Dark Lion and Line of Departure. I had a funny feeling there was maybe something a bit going on. They've got 2 horses trained by Roger Varian in the same ownership in the race, and they've stuck blinkers on Dark Lion, who has some good form behind him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the choice is with jockey-wise because I would assume David Egan's more likely to have had a choice than Frankie Dettori because he's ridden both these horses.
And he also rode his first Royal Ascot winner last year on Daya, didn't he?
Yes,
in
true.
These colours. So
Yes.
there
So
is
I
a
think
big association.
So it's not so much what the Tories chosen, it might be actually what Egan's chosen. And therefore, maybe David Egan's said, sorry, Frankie, I'm pulling rank here. And I'm going
you can ride the loony in the headgear.
Yeah, you can have them stuck blinkers on that one for you, Frankie. Have fun.
I mean, I'm just looking down actually to find Frankie Dettori's record for Roger Varian. I've got it up in front of me. Just bear with me, there's a lot of jockeys that he's used, as you can imagine. And I'm having to go right down the list here, guys. I can tell you that much. It's either not great or it's non-existent. Let's have a look. Come on, Frankie, where are you on here? And I actually cannot see him on the list. So this is a very rare booking. Sandro Di Michele sitting there in the wings, waiting very patiently. You could do with a winner, man.
I could do with a winner. Yeah, you're right. Look, I'm laying the favourite.
So you're with Barry?
Yeah, look, I do sound like a little bit of a stuck record because I am going to say pretty much word for word what Barry said, but it is on my notes. I did do it before we started the show.
You've got them there to prove it.
Yeah, look, the York run I thought was a backward step. Switching from blinkers to a visor would be a concern. You start thinking, well, why? You know, what's going wrong? And I've written down, Kevin Ryan loves this race. Which one of the 3 is the question?
Well, that's absolutely.
And I thought we were going to ask Dave Orton that one.
Yeah, you can ask Dave Orton, he's got the line in, and I've gone with the shortest one in the betting. But they have also got digital in the race as well, which, Keith, I know you want to give a line on, but let's just stick with Sandro for a minute. From an owner's point of view, if you own Yazaman, who on figures should be winning this race, on form should be winning this race, he's got the experience, he's got a nice draw in 9, Tom Marquand on, everything looks positive. If you can imagine William Haggis saying to you, look, we're going to just switch up the headgear. This is a horse that made its debut in blinkers for the first time visor. What are you thinking?
So I suppose it depends the type of owner you are. I for one think you pay traders to be because they're experts in their field, and you generally choose a trainer and stick with a trainer because you like them and you have a good relationship. You might have a little bit of a debate about it, but ultimately I think you pay people to, and this applies to all kinds of work. You pay the experts to do what they do, and
trust in Haggis. Indeed.
If that's who you've chosen to train your horses, it might sound a bit of a cop out, but that's something I genuinely believe in. I think when owners start getting, they're entitled to opinion. They pay the bills, of course they do. But if you were that good, why aren't you a racing trainer?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if it was easy, you would do it yourself.
Yeah.
Basically.
Now, there used to be thanks, Sandro. There used to be a trend on this show when we came back from lockdown that if you didn't mention one horse that you wanted to and you just got sidetracked and moved on, it usually either nearly wins or it wins. Digital is the third Kevin Ryan runner. Slightly more concerned than Major Jumbo and him in contrast, the extra distance.
I think so. I think Digital's arguably the pace angle in the race.
Haha.
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting because the other one that they've got, Cairn Island, number 1, he's in 13. Digital right next to him in 12.
Yeah.
If Jumbo's the buzzer in 4, Kevin stopped the stable jockeys on. Think he's going to make a little track and a beeline?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Digital is quick. I mean, he's come across from them just about the widest stall at Musselburgh over 5 to make the running, and that's normally death at Musselburgh. And he's coming over it. It's the track. You think
he beat significantly, didn't he? I actually spoke to Adam Ryan about this, and they said we knew significantly because we've beaten him with Major Jumbo. So they've got a line on that. They said we really like Digital going forward. Is he a bit of next year's horse? He didn't mention him to me. You know what trainers are like when they don't mention something?
Well, Digital is maybe a 2-year-old, isn't he? Because he's just fast.
I think they think he is better than a mark of 83, which obviously they're going to expose here in this race.
He's also a horse that probably looks really good at home. That's the thing to
just straightforward, and he's quick. And
yeah, he's quick. I mean, you can just imagine him lighting up the gallops because he is so fast.
Yeah, we're going to have a little delay here, I think, guys, because they're only just going down, and yet we're a minute away. So it gives us a chance to go back to Barry. Barry, how's your lay looking? This has got to be one of those races, surely, where the SP and the Betfair Exchange price has got to vary, I'm sure.
Massively, I would imagine. Yeah, but Yazaman, who I played in the place market, he's still hovering around that price, 2.28, 2.30. In the win market then at the head, it's currently Uncle Jumbo's just gone favourite.
Wow. Well, he's 7-2 with the books, Barry. 7-2 with the books.
Yeah, 9-2 each of two really on the exchange.
Wow.
Yazaman and Uncle Jimbo. Collins Bay is relatively strong at around the 9-1 mark, as is Cairn Island. Digital is a 13-1 chance. Dark Line in there at around 12. Line of Departures come in for support now is into 8-1.
If you think the Ryan Yard can move the market, then you know which one the buzzer is.
Yeah, well, quite, absolutely. Could this actually go off Fav? I mean, what is it? Yeah, indeed it could. 7-2 now, Yazaman with the books. 4-1, Uncle Jumbo. And like I say, course winner there as well. Line of Departure then does seem to be the variant buzzer.
Well, it's certainly been stronger, hasn't it, in the last 5-10 minutes or so?
Yeah.
I was looking at them both. They were both about 10.511 5 minutes ago. It's now 9.6 Line of Departure and a 13.5 Dark Lion.
To remind you of Kevin Ryan's winners this, as I said, he's bidding for a third win. He won it in 2030 with Morning Post. First time blinkers on. That was a 100-1 winner for Kevin Ryan. I seem to remember that was a bit of a red herring, that one. And then 33-1 shot Great Air as well for Kevin 2 years ago.
So he knows what he's got.
He knows what he's got, exactly.
What about the horse that was third in Norfolk, Imperial Force? Is that any chance?
Do you know what? I fancied it after that when it went to Haydock. I think, well, everyone did, didn't it? It was back, smashed off the boards. I don't know what. It's an interesting question, Bo, because I don't know. It was up to 6 furlongs, wasn't it, first time? Looked behind the Learjet, didn't it? Who runs later in the week here at Donny. Like it was screaming out for that extra furlong. Has there been any money for it, Barry, then?
No, it actually hasn't, Dave. It was 8-1, 8.8 earlier on this morning, out to 11.5 now, so friendless. But that wouldn't bother me coming from that yard. They're not, historically, they wouldn't be a punting yard as such.
Yeah, the guys in the gallery reminded me that he did actually make his debut, of course, on fast ground at Newmarket. Went to the Norfolk, was fairly well fancied there, flashed home into third, you remember, watching Royal Ascot. Everyone thought certainty back up at 6 next time. They skipped the Goodwood meeting after that flop. They've given him a bit of time. Andrew Balding, he's mustard with getting his horses right, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And I would be worried, though, about 2 months off. That suggests that maybe they weren't best pleased. You could offer no explanation.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you would infer from what you've seen there.
Yeah, I mean, 8-13 on shots sunk at Haydock in what looked like a confident boosting exercise. Perhaps all was not well that day. Wouldn't be surprised. On figures, Keith, he's got to be bang there, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
So when did you do the preview for this race?
I did, yes.
And when you were so you started with Yazaman and then went elsewhere, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you often get. Because these races are worth so much money, you often get a horse that's not quite cut it in group company. I'm not to say Yazaman's not quite cut it. He's had a lot of second place finishes and whatnot, but he's not got his name on a big prize yet. And often they'll come down to this sort of race in order to do that and pick up quite a bit of money while they're at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't certain about him over this trip. And as you can see, you look at his Imperial Force and Yazaman, who have the best form behind them because they've been competing in good races.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, ratings are a function of the environment you've been in. You know, if a race has been either steadily run or it's not high enough grade for you, you can't run these big figures. And the horses that have run the big figures are the ones that have run in group races. Notable then at major Uncle Jumbo, nearly went to the major Jumbo one now.
Yeah,
same colours.
He's doing a Dave Orton there.
Yeah. He that York run is the third best form in the field, and naturally it's in a race like this. So he has not only got a decent figure behind him, he's got it under very similar conditions, which again is another thing that I like quite a lot.
Are you in a forgiving nature then with the Yazaman, or are you against it? Let us know. Social comments will be coming in thick and fast. How are you getting on out there? We're going rapidly through the programme. We've got some fantastic 2 more races coming up for you. Of course, the 3:15 to remind you. Keith Melrose best bet of the day goes in that. That is the Park Hill Stakes of the fillies. Monica Sheriff for the Haggis Yard. Will Haggis be on a double going into that? We'll find out. And then we go off air basically after the 3:45, which is a really tricky 7 furlong handicap, but it's going to be a classy one at that. Sandro Di Michele, how are you feeling about Yazaman? Have you seen him down at the start?
I haven't.
They are down
there.
there.
They're down there now. It was interesting. I was thinking about your comments again around if you're having a conversation around going from blinkers to a visor, and my thoughts would be if I was the owner, I'd just be absolutely over the moon to have a horse like Yazaman, regardless of whether you. I think it's a lay today. What a wonderful horse to own. So that would probably be my first port of call. But yeah, look, I think it's interesting, isn't it? The money's come for the Kevin Ryan horse. It's just about the favourite, isn't it?
It's favourite on Betfair by...
They're in. Yep, they're going in, guys. They're going in. Collins Bay, we haven't mentioned. Chaps, just quickly. Major Jumbo. Uncle Jumbo. You got me starting on it. Uncle Jumbo, yes. Right. Well, who got me there? Collins Bay for the Queen. Line on that quickly. Keith Melrose.
Collins Bay.
Yes, because he looks pretty tight in the market to me. Pat Dobbs,
yeah,
Richard
he has
Hannon.
been. Yeah, obviously that second to Ascot last time and is in nursery company, so it is just a little bit more solid than a horse that's coming directly out of the novices, but certainly wasn't jumping out to me at those prices.
We're just waiting for Imperial Force to go in. The horse has got quite a little bit to prove. William Buick on. Is he going to go in? Let's have a look. He's the last one, so get ready for the 240. It's going to be fast and furious, 6.5
Let's see where the pace
furlongs.
is coming from. Is it going to come from the near side like we maybe thought it would?
Well, I think it's going to be sort of middle, isn't it? Because we think that Ken Ireland, who wasn't the best away,
Digital's fast out.
Digital is fast out on the near side. Okay,
Uncle Jumbo fast out.
Uncle Jumbo, don't start me on the majors. Uncle Jumbo's trying to do a sprite and lead. Line of departure up, the dark line up. Now Digital moves up. They're going into one group. Barry, tell us about the market after a couple of furlongs.
Yazaman led to 7-1. Uncle Jumbo went clear favourite as soon as they jumped out of traps into 7-2. Cairn Island also 6-1 chance. Line of departure 8 and Imperial Force 8. So it's all to play for.
Now they're spreading out. Collins Bay looks like he's got a bit to say. Looking for Yazaman, guys. Keith Melrose, give us a word.
I don't think he's been happy all the way through this, really. He might have got bumped and I missed it, but he was never really in the best position.
Sandro Di Michele, call the winner, Sandro. Call the winner. Come on.
It's not Yazaman. It's not Yazaman.
Here comes Uncle Jumbo, just about leading then 2 furlongs out. What's going to come and pick him up? It could well be line of departure for Keith Melrose. Barry Orr, give this a shout as well. But Uncle Jumbo, Kevin Stott, he goes for it. The Ryan Yard, could they take this out again? Here comes Dark Line.
Unless he hangs it away.
Uncle Jumbo, is he going to keep fighting? Line of departure. Hanging. Keith Melrose absolutely aghast. Yazaman too late. Will he get the third for the place? Uncle Jumbo's going to get swatted up. Here comes Yazaman.
No, it's Line of Departure's won this.
Too late in the day. Line of Departure drifted all the way to the stands rail.
Still
he had
won.
Too much in the hand under David Egan. What a season young David is having. An exciting race, guys. Barry Orr, come to you first before we dissect it. What price did Uncle Jumbo go?
Uncle Jumbo hit a low in running of 3.05, which is just a little over 2-1, would you believe? Collins's Bay hit a low of 4.6, which is 7-2. Cairn Island, a low of 7. Obviously, Line of Departure, your winner, hit a high of 16.5, would you believe?
Wow.
Unbelievably.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a function of who you watch in a race, Dave, but at no point would I have, when they were both they were both there, 2 out, both travelling probably the same. I always thought Line of Departure was A, a bit ahead, and B, travelling no worse than Uncle Jumbo. So while I'm surprised he didn't go shorter than 2s, I thought, like, even when you were giving out the big licks about Uncle Jumbo, I cheated. I looked at the machine, and Line of Departure was 1.22.
Wow. Uncle Jumbo has maybe attacked soon enough over this extra furlong. As
Frankie
he's
has
going
egged,
so well.
Frankie's egged him on potentially because Uncle Jumbo and Dark Lion have been up there a long way.
I tell you what, we were talking about team tactics with the Ryan Yard. If you're watching back the replay, we can see now Sandro. The two are definitely, it's like a training exercise, isn't it, for the varying horses?
Yeah, it is, and I think Yazaman's would be the disappointment for me because that's again he's finished the race incredibly strongly, isn't it? And it's like what's the horse doing at the start of the race?
Yeah,
that's given itself so much to do at the end because it's finishing like an absolute train.
Let's get a social comment in. They're coming on. What's the reaction to the race? Jack 2, he'll boom.
Jack knew.
Says Jack, indeed. He knew. Keith Melrose, he fancied it. Barry Orr, give it a big one as well. Barry, how did we get on in the market? Yazaman ran on. He's just one of them, isn't he? He's one of those that's going to always be short in his races wherever they map him out, as long as he's not Group 2 and Group 1. And he's probably one you're going to take on, eh?
Yeah, you wouldn't take a free bet him after going a furlong and a half, and obviously he stays on and finishes second. So yeah, I don't know what would you do with him after that? Like,
whoa, I know. Let's have a look. Let's see what he's in. I mean, he's just going to be one of those.
You'd try and boss a little listed race, wouldn't you?
He almost looked like he wanted to go up to 7 there, didn't he?
Well, yeah.
Sandro, you got it right with the lay. You're back, man. You can't keep a good man down, especially not an owner like Sandro Di Michele. Let me tell you the success he's had. But you never thought he was going to win at any stage, did you? Never.
No. I mean, even when he's, but at that point he's finishing unbelievably, finishing the best horse, but just giving himself too much to do at that point.
It was still down to line of departure to blow it at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which it did have a little go at when it started to veer. You watch it start to veer towards the rail.
Yeah, he did, absolutely. So line of departure, a horse that was having its 6th run. Uncle Jumbo, I don't know, he's wandered a little bit. He's gasping for air. What about Digital, Keith? He's sort of running on into about 5th there, and he Cairns Island, the other Ryan runner, never going.
He went a little bit fast again, Digital. I think he was on his own a little bit on that near side.
That Ascot form now does look good, doesn't it? A Taser winning, of course, yesterday.
Yeah.
As our social said, and I mean, he's a lovely little horse, a Taser, isn't he? Real little trier.
Yeah, he really is. He's a horse you'd really like to own.
Yeah.
That's the form is looking good. Line of departure. Won it pretty well, I thought, in the race as well.
He's a main mass out of a pivotal. That's the only entry he's got. He's now 3 from 3. Thinks blinkers have gone on.
He's outstaying his pedigree, isn't he? Staying 6.5 and main mass out of a pivotal. I don't know what the mare done actually.
Golden Horde, half brother, of course.
Oh, is he a half brother Golden Horde?
He
I did
is.
not know that.
He is.
So then,
he is the top notch of the.
Come on, Barry. We need a Commonwealth Cup coat now, don't we?
Can we get a
Commonwealth winner?
Yeah.
No, nothing coming through yet, lads.
Barry, come on.
Nothing coming through yet. The boys at Betfair.
Shabby.
Shabby stuff.
Very shabby.
It was slightly uneventful race, Sandro, wasn't it? The pace were up there, weren't they? I don't know. You're sort of grimacing there, Keith. We'll get to you on that. But apart from the favourite, the winner sort of veering across. Yeah, I don't know. I thought nothing really. It was a lot of. I don't know. I want to use a different word, but there was a lot of guff in there, wasn't there? I think probably.
Oh, there always is in these sales races. A lot of chancers a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Owners that see a big prize, they
Be
can
interesting
actually
to see
run
what
it.
the time is.
Those owners wanting to get a day out, they can't even
exactly.
get
Those entitled owners.
Yeah.
Those social, just a social owner.
Those crying owners that we've got over here. Absolutely unbelievable scenes and comments that we're getting. So let's have a look at some of the previous winners of this race then. It's slightly forgettable Roll of Honour. I mean, Kings Lynn won it last year.
Well,
Andrew Balding.
Just dropping out of the 10-year winners' Roll of Honour was Wooten Bassett, to be fair. Making his name as a sire now, of course.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he went on to his next start. He won the Jean-Luc Lagardère.
Yeah, and he sired, what was the Jean-Claude Rouget Champions Stakes?
He's basically one of France's best.
Almanzor, wasn't it? Almanzor.
He's one of the best sires in France now.
Yeah, okay.
He's not in France now. He's in Tipperary, isn't he?
Is he now?
He's in Tipperary now. But
So,
I mean, he's been siring in France.
He's gone to Coolmore, yeah.
Yeah, I think that rings a bell actually. But his horses, his progeny that are running now, are all in France.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
Who are we talking about here? Wooten Bassett.
Yeah. But he's got
he's in the Coolmore one.
What such a success story that the Coolmore have snapped him up. Have a rest, guys. Do you know? It's unbelievable. Give someone else a chance.
It's a frantic search for who's going to replace the mighty Galileo, isn't it?
You can't replace Galileo. That's the thing.
Wasn't Bassett replacing Galileo?
You're not going to. The sire.
He's an outbreed. He's an outcross, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. It is the Bryce family, of course. Gina Bryce, from Sky Sports fame. We went and seen Gina a little while ago because she had a baby in lockdown. But basically, if you ever spend any time with Gina, that's all she's on about. Where's the next Wootton Bassett running? Where's the next Wootton Bassett running?
So?
Yeah, but it was Almanzor, wasn't it?
Yes,
that would be his top offspring, I think. Who is going to replace the mighty Galileo? Barry, or he's a professional. He's fed us, isn't he? We're punting out Wootton Bassett. I mean,
well, that's what they bought him for.
You want to replace Galileo?
Well, you can't replace Galileo, can you? It's like
saying, that's the line there. Can you replace? How can you?
How are Barcelona going to replace Messi?
How could? Well, it will.
Wootton Bassett, who knows?
Wootton Bassett on the left wing.
Guardiola hovering over Cornwall just in case. Got the money. Let's face it. Well, that's an interesting line, isn't it? I mean, who's going to replace Sadler's Wells? Along comes Galileo, of course. What about Serpentine Barry? He's running at the weekend, isn't he? Oh, we've lost Barry again. He's pressed pause again. I don't believe it. He will be back. He's back again. Barry, Serpentine on Sunday. Going across for the Grand Prix de Paris, which they did with Japan, of course, last year. What are we going to see from Serpentine on Sunday?
He only knows one way to run, so he's going to go off in front. But where's he been since the Derby? That's
well, you tell us. You know. Come on, you've got it. You've got the line. Come on. What is the word over there in Ireland? What has actually happened to him? A lot of people saying we might never see this horse again. You know what it's like. The wings of.
I thought that because obviously his reputation can probably get no higher than it is now.
Oh. Well, I mean, look, there was that tailwind, wasn't it? We're talking about the Derby winner, of course, at 33-1. Were you on Serpentine? Listen, he runs on Sunday. We'll be giving you a word about that as he goes. Is it in the Niel he's going to run in?
Well, it was the Niel. It's the Grand Prix de Paris. They're not having a Niel.
Paris, sorry,
they're not having a Niel. They're having the Grand Prix de Paris instead.
The Niel's gone
for this year. Instead of running the Grand Prix de Paris on Bastille Day like they always do.
So what are we having? The Vermeil? On
the
Sunday.
Foire.
So all ARC trials, of course.
Yeah, basically, but they've just subbed in the Grand Prix de Paris.
So there could be a ripple in the ARC market. Could Serpentine be a ripple in the ARC market? Barry, is he going to win on Sunday, or is he just going to blow out and we'll never see him again? Come on, what's going to
happen? He's obviously a very good horse to do what he did and the fractions that he set, but I don't know. I'd have to see the final makeup of the field before answering a question like that.
Oh, yeah, it was a bit of an on-the-spot question, wasn't it? Keith Melrose, come on, you can back this one off.
What, Serpentine in a Grand Prix de Paris? I don't know what's running against him.
Well, in an arc is what I'm talking about. If he goes and hoses up.
Get used to mess with Gaiath in an arc. Use the Derby winner just to mess about with Gaiath's head.
Well, we said in the paper last week, if you were watching, there were 4 options for Gaiath. Where's he going to go? A lot of people punting out the perfect race for him. The Irish Champion Stakes. We will be covering that here for you on Saturday on RP Live.
That'll be a belter to cover in here.
Where would you have gone with Gaiath? Not from an owner, just as a fan. And I'd have gone British Champion Stakes and then to the Breeders' Cup.
But you can do both now. You can do.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I suppose.
You think they're going to go to the ARC? A lot of people say it's if you've got the best horse, you've got to run in the best race, which would therefore be the ARC, wouldn't it?
Well, you've got to do sort of right by the horse almost, haven't you? And I don't think the ARC is the right sort of race for Gaiath. Even now, he is a horse who would always be better dominating these little fields. I mean, it's not.
I can't believe there's only 6 runners, by the way, on Saturday.
Well, that's about average for that race, isn't it?
Well, I just thought that they would. The one reason why I would be worried if I was Gaiath's connections about going to an Irish Champion Stakes is the O'Brien battalion. Surely you put something in there, don't you, to take him on and see what he's got?
Just try and kettle them normally, don't they?
Yeah, well, that's the trick. But that has happened in that race before, of course. And I don't know, I'm a little bit surprised. Sostas goes over as well, doesn't he, for Jean-Claude Rouget? So Gaiath, expecting him to win on Saturday, first and foremost?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yes. But
what price is he, Barry, for the Irish Champion Stakes?
6
to 4 on. Thought he might have been shorter.
I think, to Keith's point, it doesn't see how he goes, and then make a decision after that. There's nothing's off the table, is it? Unless something catastrophic was to happen, you don't see. He could go Champions Day, could go to the ARC, could go Breeders' Cup.
Sandro said, you can get 3 races this way potentially, whereas you might just get 1 if you go the ARC.
This isn't normally Gaiath we're talking about, is it? And again, it's a slightly quick backup, isn't it, from the Ebor meeting? So he is obviously turning a big corner.
Yeah, I think when he beat Enable potentially, that was when I thought, well, that's fine. He used to be a horse that couldn't take races back to back very quickly. He clearly is now. He's grown up enough, so I wouldn't be worried about that anymore. But yeah, I just think this has always been the logical race to run him in Leopardstown on Saturday.
Best turf horse in the world?
Yeah, best middle distance turf horse in the world, yeah.
I think the other thing that you do, of course, have to factor in is the strange kind of kind of congested nature of the season this year as well. So the kind of more traditional route and approach to prepping horses does kind of go out the window a little bit, doesn't it? And I think as a result, we are seeing horses run more frequently now. Because
you've got to admire Gareth, haven't you, I think?
Well, that's the thing. You would have thought before this season, the way the season has been concertinaed,
would have been a nightmare for Gareth.
Yeah, exactly. The last
brilliant
horse
for Potash, no crowds, but superb for...
Yeah, exactly. It was he's the one horse you'd have thought wouldn't have suited, and that's what's been so impressive about him this season.
Yes.
Is that he has taken to this much more condensed season really, really well, and shown that he's basically man enough to take these Group 1s back to back to back.
Oh, it's an exciting weekend coming up at Leopardstown, isn't it? Let's face it. So, and who wins the Arc? Come on, let's get a word from you, Sandro, because this is your one day this week. Oh, come on, you must know. Come on, you're home in. Are you going to give up on Enable, or are you? I don't know.
I don't
is
know.
It all about love? Is it all about
down
Rabbit Heart, who's coming for a lot of love from Jean-Claude Rouget, Hamdan Al-Maktoum's filly?
Yeah, again, the romantic in me, I would just love to see I would love to see Enable. Absolutely love
Even
to see
Keith Melrose.
Nah. I've backed Love. No, if I hadn't backed Love, I would have agreed. But I've backed
What
Love.
price did you get Love? Come on,
I've only backed. It was after the Oaks, so it wasn't.
Was
much.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, where she was just so impressive.
So I'm not on at massive prices, but yeah, she was so impressive there. And
you just think the weight the differential is going to just... What about ground for her?
The only problem with the ground for Love is that I think she's only really got one... What I think Love's like, it's like moving... You're driving a Ferrari, but you're moving from third gear to fifth. You know, because she doesn't quicken really well, but once she does get rolling, you're not stopping her. So if there's any sort of tactical nature to a race like the Arc, that's what might get her found out. And that's why maybe soft ground would suit her that little bit better, because it just takes away turn the foot that other horses have. I don't think she in herself would have any ground preference.
Yeah.
I just think it's the fact that the way she races would suit a soft ground race more.
What did we make of Enable? Just to come back, obviously it was a race she had to win.
It was
But
a racecourse gallop with cameras on, and jockeys wearing silks, wasn't it?
did you take some of the 1 to 5 then? That looked like a monstrous price on the Friday.
Magician's the other interesting one as well when you start talking about Enable.
Well, we were going to mention this, weren't we?
Especially if it was to be quite a soft arc, in terms of the going,
We haven't had the benefit of
real
listening to
gallopers as well,
Frankie Dettori's comments so far, chaps, but you can do that. There will be out there. Look in the analysis boxes, for example, in the front of the paper that you're going to be out there. It'll be interesting to see what he says about Indigo Girl. Got it.
Yes.
Third time lucky. You can't keep a good man down, can you? And also Logician as well. And we know what Gos will say, of course. John Gosling, he's a master of commercial side of things. Only Aidan O'Brien better than him at all that. But let us know what you think. Where does Logician go? How does Gosden split all these horses up? Very interesting indeed. Barry, you're back.
I certainly am, Dave.
Are you still? Because I remember we did the Guineas meeting together on this show, Barry, and we were keen on Love then, weren't we? We were keen on her for the Arc. Keen on her. She had to win the Yorkshire Oaks as well. Does she win the Arc?
Yes.
Just a one-word answer from Barry. Keep it
Excellent.
simple.
That's the man with his ear to the ground at Ballydoyle as well.
Well, this is the man that's told us that Wootton Bassett.
That's not me. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Yeah.
We don't have any.
He just talks a good game, doesn't he? That's what he does.
Well, he's not. He probably hasn't got the work because he's not been out of that room, has he, for 6 months?
True,
so.
yeah.
Unless
Although who gave him that painting?
Unless, of course, when he keeps pressing the pause button, he's on the phone to Aidan, of course. I'm trying to tell him about Wootton Bassett. But anyway, if Wootton Bassett replaces Galileo, then they've got another shrewd.
Basically,
move
aren't they trying to replace Galileo with about 3 horses?
Oh, that's why I mentioned Serpentine, because I don't know.
The stamina side, Australia's shown some good signs in that regard.
Really, it's there.
Glen Eagles
is
showing,
aren't they?
Yeah, Glen Eagles is showing a bit. I mean, they're sort of slow, but they're good. And Glen Eagles is showing a bit more in terms of the shorter. The thing with Galileo is if you give him the right mare, he could give you a miler or he could give you a Gold Cup winner. So you can't replace him with one sire, I don't think.
Super sires, okay.
So they said that about Sadler's Wells, and they replaced him with one sire called Galileo.
Well, listen. So it can be done. Absolutely. Who do you think will replace Galileo? Get your socials in if you're watching on Facebook Live. Hello, Dave Orton here, back in the chair. Sandro Di Michele joins us, and Keith Melrose and Barry Orr as well. 2 races to go for you. Shall we move on? We digress and have a look at the races. Just a one-word answer from Barry on whether Love wins the Arc. It was yes. Let's get a lot more words from him on this upcoming market. It is the 310. Let's get it up. Small but select field. 315 even. Believe in Love. A horse that I want to take on, Barry. But again, Roger Varian just took out the last race. His other horses have been placed in the race. He doesn't really get it wrong, does he, that often? But it's just, I thought around about 6-4, this might be one race too many for her.
Yeah, you could be right. Like, she started off the season by winning the handicap in Goodwood off 80. Then she wins off 88 and 97. She's rated 107 now. So she's done nothing wrong to filly all year. But obviously this is the stiffest test she'll have faced. The horse I like in it is the Joseph O'Brien trained Pista, who didn't see a racecourse till late June, and has done nothing but improve. She won really well in Galway, and then she went and won the Vinnie Row and beat some really nice prospects. She was ridden to get the trip that day, stepping up to 1 mile 6, so we know she gets it. I wouldn't be surprised to see her ridden a little bit more prominently this time round, but a real stiff gallop here would suit her. She's currently 7.0, which is bang on 6-1. So I'm going to have, this is my nap of the day.
Nice.
Kev, and I'm going to have 50 quid win on her for the charity.
Okay.
Pista.
So, Keith, are you gonna trade away?
Yeah, 50 quid on Pista, yeah?
That's right.
She beat a horse, Barry,
Done.
didn't she, called Dawn Patrol, who was favourite at Leopardstown, which had finished third, of course, to Santiago
That one's
in
in
the
the
Irish
ledger.
Derby.
That's in the ledger, isn't it?
Sunchart, that is, you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, she
Sunchart.
beat Sunchart.
Beat
but Dawn
Sunchart, who
Patrol was-
runs the ledger. Dawn Patrol
That
was
does
third.
run the
Yeah,
ledger.
but he was odds on that day, like, and a fair horse in his own right. But she just absolutely sprinted home. It was unbelievable what she did, really, to see where she came from.
Yeah.
Looks a really, really smart filly, and one definitely I'd want to be with in this.
Yeah, so have we traded, Mr. Melrose?
Oh, yeah, you can see the screen now. You've got 50 quid at 6.8.
Happy days. Okay, so
Seven, I thought.
So I can...
Kev, you're letting the side down.
Well, but I can't predict it, Brett, can I? I've got to wait until I'm
No, it
told.
was 7. 50 quid at 7.
Listen, I have to say that Keith was told about 10 minutes before the show came on that you would be doing the training day. He is the betting editor, of course, for the Racing Post. So this is
I'm
a man
blaming,
that
I'm
should
blaming
step straight
Apple.
into
I've
it.
never used an Apple computer in my life. I feel like a tech
you're blaming
whiz.
Apple.
The excuses, the
This is what-
H14s are coming out.
This is what the people in coffee shops have apples and that, and they sit there on the Wi-Fi all day, and they've got funkier haircuts than me normally.
Well, I likewise, absolutely, maybe a bit more of a Sandro. Can you use a Mac? I can't.
No, I mean, I have an iPhone, but that's about it. I am getting to that age. Turned 40 a couple of weeks ago, so I'm now getting to that age where you just start to, if you can't use something, you just don't even attempt to it now. And, you ask your nieces and nephews and children to do things like that. If you're not placed bets, of course, just to be clear, just tell me how to turn the computer on and find the exchange.
This is an absolute pro, isn't it? Sandro Di Michele, of course. Yeah.
We've
Okay,
got,
so
we've
Keith
got
is doing
betting
a great
accounts for all the
job.
bookies, though, don't worry about that.
Well,
just so Uncle Sandro can get on, really.
I'm going to worry Barry on now because I really like Pista as well. I think watch back the replay. You've got time to do it. Keep ramming it home. She just doesn't win turning in at Leopardstown. And I think that the fourth has come out and run 5 lengths second to Galileo Chrome, who goes to the Group 1 St. Ledger, a horse that I really like for that as well, from the same stable. On Saturday, I think she will be giving it a boost as well. I think she's over the odds anyway because I want to take it Believe in Love. Keith Melrose, now we'll give you the floor here. We said your best bet comes in this race. You mentioned it slightly earlier on in the show. Forget the ground, Monica Sheriff will win, yeah?
Well, that's what I thought, because Monica Sheriff, she's one of these horses that if you just looked at her form, she would be 2-1. But because people saw what, at Goodwood, she won a handicap by 20 lengths. That was in heavy ground. She then won a Group 3 in France, heavy ground again. And then obviously she's been fourth, really eye-catching fourth in the Ebor.
The eye-catcher of the year, almost.
She was right behind Verdana Blue, then had to go 4 horses wider to actually make her challenge, and finished fourth on her seasonal reappearance as well, just to add sort of extra to it. Her form is that of a horse that should be favourite. But people assume that because the Ebor was soft ground as well, there was a lot of rain at York that day. They assume that she just needs soft ground all the time. But I would always go, her only form on sort of not soft ground or on better ground was her debut, and you can forgive any horse its debut. Her dam only ran a few times required, but she did show form as good on good to firm as she did on heavy. And I just don't like these decisions reached, especially on ground, on such little evidence. And this filly's form suggests that she should be an awful lot shorter. So for that reason, that is always a sort of horse that I get tucked into when there's one little, a bit of accepted wisdom that just gets factored in far too much, which I think has in this instance. I always rule against it, and that's what I'm doing here.
I have to say that I thought she might be a bit of a drifter, Barry, but it looks like the market is now coming back a little bit in Keith's mindset as well. Monica Sheriff hardening up slightly?
Yeah,
5.2, yeah. Steady away at that. Had been 6.8 earlier on this morning.
Yeah, exactly. I thought she might do what Lilac Road did. Not Lilac Road. What's the Indigo? It was Lilac Road, wasn't it?
Indigo Girl.
Indigo. No, the Haggisall's in the same race to May Hill.
Can't even get the colours right now.
The course and distance winner. And that
Lilac
drifted
Road.
right. Lilac Road. There you go. I had it right first time. I'm looking at Keith and he's looking at me as if to say, done it again. But no, I did actually get it right that time. That was a big drifter for the Haggis Yarn and didn't come good. This is now hardening. Sandro Di Michele gives the winner of the Park Hill.
Yeah, so worryingly for Barry, you fancy Pista, and worryingly for Keith, I fancy Monica Sheriff.
Another two-way play then for the team.
No, I think the Ebor form is rock solid. I think
Newton Glen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming out.
I think it was a very testing, difficult Ebor as well, and it's these staying races and staying handicaps are something I'm taking a bit of a keener interest in, because I own a horse in Ireland over the jumps, and one thing we may be considered at some point is if jumps didn't quite work out, or do we just have a look at these kind of staying races anyway, because there's some very big pots there, and some wonderful days out to be had as well. You know, if you can get to York for the Ebor or something like that, Royal Ascot, who knows, maybe even Australia in the Melbourne Cup. But you know what I mean? They're really interested in these kinds of races.
There's a lot of money in them as well.
Chosen Mate's going to run in the Melbourne Cup. This is the Grand Annual winner, of course.
This is where I get carried away and my mind starts dreaming.
It's worked out for you so far.
Yeah, dare to dream and all that. So look, I think Monica Sheriff, I think the Ebor form's solid. Like you said, in running it had absolutely no luck whatsoever.
Yeah.
And at the prices, I really like it. And I just think Believe in Love has been incredibly impressive. You've really got to take your hat off to it. But maybe I think it's got to the point where it's reached its level now. And at the price as well, you know, the old bookmaker in me, the layer in me, would be very happy to take it on.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there.
Sounds like a match bet, Dave.
There we are. There's a match bet is on.
What I like
You have one up on the Betfair Exchange, A versus
we have a
B.
look at
Monica Sheriff versus Pista.
As if by magic it's there.
You've had a roasting about your trading ability, and you've come back like only the betting editors could. And
What we're doing though, because
we
we both fancy the other half of this market. So what are we going to do?
Well, let's have a look at it. So Monica Sheriff,
It's 1.67 Monica Sheriff and 2.42 Pista.
Oh well, I'd be keen on Pista in that market, obviously. But I must admit, I did think Monica Sheriff was. Well, the two that I wanted to be here with was certainly Pista and Monica Sheriff. 4-year-olds have pretty much dominated this race, by the way, in the last decade. Just 2 3-year-olds have won it, 8 4-year-olds as well. M. Bahar last year, God Given, do you remember that for Luca Kamani? Rafe Beckett, Simple Verse, and Alicia won for him. Looking down, Miesnar won for David Lanigan. Sir Henry Cecil won this in 2012. Late Sir Henry Cecil with Wild Coco as well. Do you remember that?
We had an honour in this race earlier, Alpinista, and I wrote this race yesterday and had to rewrite it for the paper.
She's got a mark of 113, hasn't she?
I've wondered about quite the level of that form, but what I liked about that was Alpinista was not campaigned at all like a Prescott horse. She won on debut and was campaigning in group races after that at 2, and has obviously been earmarked for stardom from a very early stage at the Prescott
One to keep looking out for then.
Yeah, but Believe in Love, if you covered up the trainer field and that, you'd think by Prescott, wouldn't you?
This is a smart project, isn't it? So why don't we like her then, Keith? 10 days ago, she absolutely hosed up. Was it as good? I mean, it comes a little bit quickly. First run out of handicaps, of course, today.
Now, where ground does come into it is that a soft ground tends to amplify margins a lot of the time. And Believe in Love's won by 10 lengths at that race at Newmarket, but it was on really soft ground.
Yeah.
Nothing else was going forward by the end. So that is another instance where the distance has been amplified. And she had Ray Dawson on. Now, Ray Dawson is an extremely talented jockey.
Yes.
And his £5 is basically unnecessary. But so that those things combined are something that needs to be factored in.
Atzini has ridden this horse, of course. Mm-hmm. So, but you're suggesting that the £5 helped her greatly that day.
The £5 helped, and the £5 counts when it shouldn't necessarily, because Dawson's very good, and the 10 lengths on better ground would have been more like 3, and potentially even less because other horses might have handled it, whereas nothing really did on the soft. So, she's only £2 better than Monica Sheriff on adjusted RPRs.
Yeah.
Now, Monica Sheriff her form comes from a group race in France, whereas, and obviously she's run to within £1 of that in the Ebor last time. How many pounds higher would she have run if she'd got a clear run in the Ebor?
Yeah.
She'd be top rated.
And it's an interesting thing for a punter, this, isn't it, I think, and a player, Sandro, I'm assuming you did when you watched her in the Ebor. wherever this filly goes next, I'm with it.
Yeah, I think you could be. Look, we've
So
all
just
got
gotta
our
forget, like Keith is, forget about it and just back.
Yeah, to an extent, I think we have all got, like, I can be terrible for following horses off a cliff as well. You know, you sort of you get that thing in your head about a horse, don't you? And, but certainly in this case, this example, I agree 100%. I looked at the run; it was a horrible race, wasn't it? I mean, the weather was absolutely awful. I'm sure there are plenty of jockeys, owners, and trainers coming out of that race with hard luck stories, but I did feel out of all of them, hers was probably the worst.
At York, it can look pretty hard going.
There's no worse feeling though than that when you look at a horse, think, whenever that runs next, I'm backing it, and it comes up in a race where you're thinking, why the hell have you run it in this?
It's not got her ground, and yet here you are.
It's not about ground. No, it's not about ground with this one though. It's just other one. I mean, like they'll put it in too high a grade, or just keep it at 2 miles or something.
Let's talk about some other horses then, guys. We've got some powerhouse jockeys and stables in this. Let's talk about Snow, Frankie Dettori riding for Aidan O'Brien, a theme we're going to see throughout the week. And Snow is slow, I've heard on this show before, which has got the first time blinkers on. Barry, a word for Snow. Have you been with this filly this year? Has she disappointed you with it, or did you get her when she won, of course, at Cork in that Group 3?
Yeah, she won first time up at the Curragh in a maiden on good to firm ground, and then behind One Voice, which is like Frank the form since in that Group 3 when she finished second. She won again then in Cork. In Goodwood, I was a bit disappointed with her in Goodwood. I know the winner's a right good horse, MBR. The runner-up is disappointed since Cavaletta. I was giving her a big chance against the horse of...
Subjectivist.
Mark Johnson, Subjectivist, who absolutely destroyed her. Now, I suppose you could say the ground might have played against her that day, but I just thought I was very disappointed with Snow and Goodwood, and I just thought there was other fillies in here that were probably improved past her.
Will she lead here, Barry? It looks like she certainly tried to do so, didn't she, at Goodwood, and it absolutely, like you say, just fell out the back of the telly.
It's not uncommon for a horse to think they want to lead, and then have blinkers on next time, like what Snow's got here.
Yeah, which is.
I thought she tried to get off in front, and you could nearly say the same for Monica Sharp. She likes to be up with it, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Well, yeah, I don't think she'll be. Well, there doesn't seem to be a great deal of pace in this race, does there? Dubious Affair.
Devon.
A horse that's done really well since joining Charlie Fellows and Sir Michael Stout. They still think there's a big one in her. She'll like the slightly easier ground than she faced last time out when she ran above herself.
Like to be up with it.
Yeah, very possibly. Vivian. So Michael Stout hasn't got a great record in this race, and neither's Aidan O'Brien, which is what I was getting to. I think they're 0 from 5 in the last decade. Jim Crowley running for Sir Michael Stout. Jim Crowley, 2,000 winners up. Absolutely superb season he's had, hasn't he?
Incredible season. I laugh because I'm in a WhatsApp group with a number of people that are involved in racing.
Here we go.
Jim Crowley he's always a bone of contention. I think the lads absolutely hammered him the day before he had that unbelievable day at Royal Ascot. So whenever his name's mentioned, I laugh. But he's had an incredible season. He seems to be getting better and better, and good luck to him because he's a very hard-working jockey. He deserves all the credit and success he gets.
Yeah, he definitely does. And he's got a good record there for Sir Michael Stout as well. Vivian?
Yeah. Vivian, hold on, I did look at this horse. I have
We've got him napping at last.
You have indeed. Well, you can check the paragraph I've written about her to probably get what I would have said. Yes, no, she was in that York race, wasn't she? Which Gold Wands. Now, you weren't here, but Bruce was. Bruce was sat in your chair, and we watched that race. And yeah, she, typical sort of Michael Stout slow burner, but again, I just didn't see enough in the form. I thought Gold Warn had her measure by quite a bit that day.
Looks like the handicap has got her about right on 102, basically.
Well, exactly. And does
she's
that
very
win Park
consistent.
Hills?
But she has won here, and she's related to stay. So
yeah, she'll improve on that still. But she's just stepping forward now, whereas others are leaping potentially. Yeah.
Well, we're changing pace. It's all about the St Ledger at Doncaster this week. We're over a mile 6.5 a furlong here. So for the for the Park Hill Group 2, good luck wherever you're going. They're ambling into the stalls. So a change of pace. We're going to have a nice little chat through this. Barry, just before the last couple go in, I can see 5-4 now, Believe in Love.
Yeah, 2.46, so a little over that, just nearly 6-4. Monica Sheriff, 5.4, 8.8 Pista, massive drifter. Vivian, 8.2.
Tell you what, those with 6.8 are rubbing their hands, aren't they?
Yeah, quite, absolutely. It
should have been 7, he says.
Yeah.
Should have been 8.8, Barry.
We must mention
McAwee.
We must mention McAwee for David O'Mara because we know what happens. Vivian's the last one going in as well. McAwee has actually got the top speed figure that I can see here. Don't be surprised if she runs above for that mark of 97. Good luck then for the penultimate race here on Race Day Live. They are off. And away we go. And just looking for the pace, I'm expecting Snow to take it up. She's a little bit enthusiastic in those blinkers. They're nice and concertinaed at the minute. Is anything pulling hard? Barry, Pista, as we expected, you thought she might run a little bit prominently. Looks like they're taking her back slightly again under Shane Cross.
Yeah, not surprising, really. Although they rode her to get the trip at Leopardstown. But the favourite, Never Leave in Love, steady at 2.25. 4-1 Monica Sheriff, 8-1.
There's an interesting just opinion and ground here, guys. And we're on the round course for the first time today. And McAwee and this dubious affair on the Stevie Donahue, they came towards the rail. The other guys wanted to be away from that. So we'll see how that figures at the end. But Snow is leading. For Monica Sheriff is just tacking on the heels at the moment. Ideal place, Keith Melrose and Monica Sheriff.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to sort of be... well, a horse that's got a lot of form in soft ground is normally a prominent racer for a start.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting where she needs to be. Vivian's a little bit keen, but I don't see any alarm
Ridden
bells
to get the trip, surely, I'm just crowding that, and just taken back. Pista has now got quite behind. It's William Buick, of course, taken over from Shane Cross. Pista, but if you watch back that Leopardstown race, which I implored you to do, she came right over the top of them, so don't be too worried about that just yet. What sort of pace are they going, Sandro?
I don't think they're going much of a pace at all, to be honest. I didn't really think it looked like anybody wanted to take it up. Almost to the point where 3 or 4 of the jockeys were looking around and saying, you know, you make the running, no, you make the running. So I think they've got a very, very pedestrian pace, if I'm honest. And who that benefits, I'm not really too sure. Maybe Keith.
Well, as soon as Dettori, have a look between 3 or 4 jockeys, and Dettori's one of them. Normally he'll go, I'll have it.
Yeah,
and he's
the
very,
best
very
front
good
running jockey you've ever seen.
He wouldn't be far off. If it's not him, he's very close.
Absolutely. The Spencers of this world, the Richard Hughes when he used to ride, when you see them in front, you know they're not going too quickly. Barry Orr, give us a word for the favourite, just sitting in 4th. How's the market looking?
Yeah, favourite still as is. There's no real moves anywhere in the market, to tell you the truth. Favourite 2.34, 92 Monica, Pista 7.8.
Yeah, he's definitely steadied them up. So let's give you the order before we go into the home straight. They're just turning in. Snow just being wound up now by Frankie Dettori. Monica Sheriff cruising into it, just on the flank. Believe in Love, not gone from yet at all at Zini. Vivian coming into this. Pista still a little bit green out the back. Is she too far back? Dubious Affair not move. McAwee not move. Sandro Di Michele called the winner.
I'll stick with Monica Sheriff, I think.
Monica Sheriff first off the bridle.
Here we go. We're really getting serious now. Pista making a move. Who's the one that's
travels.
beaten? Snow looks in trouble. Monica Sheriff trying to take it
Vivian
up.
travels.
Believe in Love's there. Vivian's there. Pista might come over the top. McAwee's there on the far side, the outside. Dubious Affair looks the one that's beaten. Monica Sheriff, she's not letting herself down, guys.
I think Pista wins this.
Here we go. Believe in Love. McAwee, come on, Pista, get over the top of them. Not quite finding it.
She's hanging.
Lots of chances here. Vivian coming back into it. Come on,
Believe
Pista,
in
get
Love.
on over the top. Come on, Barry. We got this.
Wins.
The team makes it. Happy days. Oh, Betfair Barry, absolutely over the moon. You called this. This was your nap of the day. Keith Melrose is applauding. Sandro Di Michele, what a race. Happy days.
Well done, boys. Well done. I think I should get a little award for the worst in running judge so far. I think Monica Sheriff still hasn't finished yet, has it?
Oh yeah, she's stopped. Stopped as a shot, I'm afraid.
Will you revisit your ground opinion now?
Maybe.
No, you won't. You won't do that.
No, I won't review my general philosophy. I might review it with this horse.
Yeah, I mean, has she come last?
Some horses, she's been tailed off.
Yeah, so it looked like she didn't let herself down probably on that. Before we dissect it, what a race. We got excited. Were you with Pista? The guys in the gallery was, that's for sure. And at Leopardstown, Barry, it was almost a carbon copy, wasn't it? Turning in, you'd be really worried about her. This is an exciting horse. Came right over the top. What on earth did the market make of her? Oh! He's too happy. He's counting his winnings. I can tell you, I don't know if you're watching. Sometimes in my ear, I can hear Barry clicking away. Can you?
He's doing his own
he's not
punting,
on the
isn't
screen. He's probably got 5 screens going on, which is what some of the watchers of this show like to do.
Probably doing cartwheels in the front room. Pulled the old internet cable out, and the connection's gone.
Rodrigo de Triano's gone flying.
Yeah. It'll be a picture of Woodson Bassett up next behind him, won't it?
Probably will.
Absolutely. Barry, you're back. Tell us about the market. What on earth did it make of Pista?
Yeah, I can't really. My laptop keeps freezing on me.
He's thrown it. It's gone absolutely berserk over there. He can't count.
Believe in 1.62, would you believe?
Whoa, well, she just nose to the front, didn't she, I think? So
yeah, Monica Sheriff, a low of 4. Pista would have hit a decent high, you would have thought, but
it
only
must have
traded a
done.
high of 9.6.
It must have done. Who's second? Vivian, the consistent Vivian, giving you a line on the form.
Yeah,
there.
low 4.
Well, that was she ran a funny race, did Vivian. She pulled early doors, then she came in travelling as well as anything.
Yeah.
And then just was a bit flat-footed when they asked her. It was a strange old run from her. But I think that winner is the best of them by quite a way, because once she's been asked to quicken, she's gone both ways almost.
Right.
Under pressure, and she'll improve on that again. She is the best of them, and by
12 to 1 from 25 to 1 for the fillies and mares on Champions Day.
That's the race that I was going to say, Barry. How much? How big? How big did you say?
12 from 25.
12 from 25s.
I don't know what else is in that, unfortunately.
Well, what's the fav for that, Barry? I've got the anti-post
God,
up
she
here.
really does veer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just really still green, isn't she, Barry? I think that's what it is, probably.
Yeah, it's only a fourth
only-
run, don't forget. She didn't see a racetrack till June. The end of June, actually.
Well, she could come
Good
up
call.
against Magical, couldn't she? Unless Magical, of course.
We have
goes
even
for
so a 4 to 1 joint favourite with Magical, Dane, Fancy
Fancy
Blue,
Blue.
and there at 8 to 1, Gold Wand, Frankly Darling, Peaceful, all those good fillies.
So listen, we're talking about 12 to 1 sounds about right then, doesn't it? When you see as the market stands at the minute.
Does Fancy Blue want a mile and a half in bad ground?
Will it be
No,
background?
she's in the weekend, isn't she? She's in the weekend.
Magical, of course, last year, took the big one out last year, depending on what goes there. Can see her going for that again, I think. Even so, very interesting, the Irish Oaks winner there as well. So we're talking about Ascot Champions Day. Guess what? We're going to be covering that here on RP Live as well. We've gone up a notch after that, haven't we? Our penultimate race. That was fantastic stuff. A little bit disappointed with Monica Sheriff. Or are you thinking now what was in the back of your head, boys? Or is it all about the ground? You can get your excuses. Don't forget in the analysis section of the Racing Post as well. And the members, I'm sure William Hanks will come out and say probably didn't let herself down. But
There's every chance that's what will happen. But, I mean, the Haggis Yard probably already have the Cesarewitch winner. Otherwise, they might run in that.
go on.
It's Favourite Moon, isn't it?
Favourite Moon.
Yeah.
Is it entered in Cesarewitch? I don't think it
I thought-
is.
Is it not? Is it interesting?
Do you know what? Last Saturday we were in this show. We were eyeing as that went clear, and I was like, "Is this a Cesars?" I don't think it's in it.
Is it not in the Cez?
I don't think it is.
Well, William Haggis doesn't normally misstep, but he has there.
Yeah, because that's a proper horse, isn't it?
That's a really good horse.
Yeah, a couple.
Don't know what
of
his marks got put up to. I forgot to check during the week, but I suspect that'll be up nearly 100 now.
Shall I give you a chance to check that just while I speak to Sandro?
Yeah,
and
let's do it.
Is there something in the back of your mind now that's thinking, Sandro, you knew she wouldn't go on the ground?
Yeah, naturally, you're right. Naturally, that would be the
Is that what
first.
the voice in your head sounds like?
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit like that. It's usually a little bit more aggressive
Is it,
when
Sandro?
you have bets like that as well. But yeah, look, I suppose the first protocol would be the ground. But I'm interested to see what connections say. Maybe connections will have a slightly different explanation. I would imagine
yeah.
they will say the ground. But
Form-wise, from that. Sorry, what Marcus' favourite moon now?
95.
No, I would have been.
That one's a Cesarewitch on 95.
That would have been because you can get in a Cesarewitch off
Oh.
top 80s, can't you?
Yeah,
It's 36 runners or whatever.
A trick has been missed, William, I'm afraid.
Oh,
It's not like him.
No,
Big fan of his.
would it be 32 runners this year?
It ought. Ooh,
Well,
good shout.
that's the thing, because the big staying handicaps haven't filled as much as they normally would this year. You were getting in the Northumberland plate off about £8 lower. The last time the floor was that low in the plate, Overturn won it. You know, there's a lot less of that going around this year, although it had caught up maybe a little bit by the Obora Cup. That was at normal sort of levels. But yeah, it could well be the case that it doesn't fill this year. Which, that's one of the worst things about the Cez. Sometimes, even though it's a 2 mile 2 race, you can be dead with a draw.
I thought I might have the winner of the Cez. Diocletian.
I think everybody thinks they've got the winner of this. I'm not sure. That was a bit of a late headway monkey last week. I think.
No, it was not. It was not. It was my Tuesday tracker horse.
Oh, see,
on
he's
the
already
website.
biased already.
Yeah, well, of course I am. I put it up. I said because they've got the favourite, haven't they?
We usually do.
Coltrane.
Oh, is that
For the
favourite for that, is it?
That's favourite for the Baldings, and I thought, well, the way that's hit the line, it probably does want 2 mile now on decent ground. I just thought, yeah, that 25 was.
And whoever wins it, I'm going to come over and say, well, thank Christ, favourite moon didn't run.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly that. So I don't know. Maybe could favourite moon? Yeah, 95. He's not going to waste that mark for next year, is he?
That's going to
Yes,
win.
favourite moon. If you saw him win here on RP Live on Saturday, Keith Melrose backs it up. A horse going places. Okay, we've got one more race to come. At Donny, really uber competitive 3-year-old handicap over the 7 furlongs, and there's going to be a range of opinions from the panel, no doubt on that. A reminder: we're here with you till Sunday. Tomorrow, joining us will be Graham Wobbe and Tony Ennis back on the panel. Saturday, we'll be having Ross Briley coming back in. Our resident comedian will be coming to join myself and Neil Hubbard, who'll be taking care of Barry's business. Barry, on the weekend, I'm assuming you'll be going off and doing footy and all that sort of stuff, will you?
Yeah, Talk Sports Saturday, and obviously we've Irish Champions weekend, so Leopardstown to look after in the Curragh. Although I won't be attending, but I'm not crying about it.
Well, not like us English, of course. But when are you looking at getting back on track? Have you been back on track at all?
No, haven't been once. No, and I couldn't go to Haydock last weekend where we sponsored each race over the 3 days. So I'd have to quarantine for 14 days when I came home. So not practical at the moment. But
listen,
like Sandro said at the beginning, it's just exceptional circumstances, and we've just got to get on with it, really, don't we?
You've been quarantining since lockdown began, man. As I said, you've not been out of that room. If you've been telling us how to quarantine.
Don't worry, I've been out of this room. I was away playing golf last weekend.
Is that right?
If only everyone was as law-abiding as Barry. Hey,
well,
we'd have been out of this mess a long time ago.
The rule of 6 would be out with the sticks. So, okay. So, Barry, when do you think you might get back on track this season at all on the flat, or are you waiting for the jump season to come back?
Jeez, I would be happy if we were back for the open meeting or for the Betfair Chase in November. And maybe the open meeting the week before that, or is
I
the week
usually see you at that meeting, Barry. You like to get in amongst the crowds there, don't you? Show yourself at that meeting.
It's the one race meet a year that I always go as a punter.
Yeah, I think it is
the open meeting.
The open meeting.
No, I meant the Betfair Chase meeting.
Oh, well, that's your neck of the woods, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I live in Yorkshire, so
yeah.
I'm a big fan of the open meeting because it was the one I'd always be able to go to.
So exciting, isn't it?
But it sort of kind of signals the start of the national hunt season, but also it was the one that you knew you could go to and enjoy yourself and let your hair down because you knew March, you're not there, you're in the
3
office.
3 days of jump racing.
You don't need money.
Apart from the big festival in March, of course, it doesn't really get any better than that for me either. It's an absolute, and just a word for that, actually. I was chatting to an annual member there, actually runs a pub I was in on Sunday, randomly, and he said to me, should I renew my annual members or whatever? And he said usually there's a bar where they can fit 600 or 700, and he reckons there's going to be 2 maximum now in there. He said I probably will do, but am I going to get back for the open meeting? I said I think you'll be all right. See how it goes at the St Ledger meeting this week. So loads of Jumps fans, and let's face it, I think we can say, sort of solidly that Jumps fans tend to be a little bit more loyal with their subscriptions, don't they? I would imagine. Obviously, Goodwood, you've got.
We were of the opinion as a group, we'll book the weekend. Hotels will be very, very cheap. We'll go down, and chances are we won't go racing, but we'll find a beautiful pub in the Cotswolds, enjoy your racing, and still try and make as much of a weekend of it as you can.
Watching RP Live.
That's the way to do it, Sandro. You see, there's the positivity. That's the way to do it. You're a shade of odds on to find a decent pub in the Cotswolds as well.
The way his punting's going today, let me tell you, that's a Wetherspoons. It's happening. That's a Wetherspoons.
Take your camera vouchers. Don't forget your camera vouchers for Wetherspoons.
That's a Wetherspoons and a rotten hangover for Sandro and Michele coming up. Please, Lord. So listen to Sandro, whatever happens, we'll have you back during the jump season, that's for sure. Let's just talk about your big white hope for the jump season then before we move on to the last race.
Chosen
It is,
Mate.
of course, Chosen Mate.
Chosen Mate.
If you watch the inaugural running of RP Live for the Betfair Exchange, Keith Melrose, you were in on the Wednesday, weren't you, with us? And Sandro came in on the Thursday for Stayers Hurdle Day, which we watched. It seems like such a long time ago now. And then you went down on the Friday. We could all see you on our screen celebrating because you took out the Grand Annual with Chosen Mate.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. There's only 4 of us that own it, and I own 37.5% of it. So a good state, unbelievable, and genuinely incredible.
If you think back to the race, it was pretty smooth, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Davey was magnificent on it.
Right, old Gamble.
Yeah. There was a few quid. There was a few quid down. A few of the experts at the Racing Post it tipped it up as well. It was incredible. And now we move on to the upcoming National Hunt season.
Does he take on the big boys?
That is the plan. The plan is we go for the champion.
Doesn't want to go over hurdles anymore, does he?
No, doesn't want to go over hurdles. That isn't his game. Go for the champion chase. Tom Segal has already put him up at 33-1 for the Champion Chase Anti-Post.
How does that make you feel as an owner?
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's just,
Price has gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Were you on?
There might be a few quid on
can
already.
email him if you want.
But no, look, it's incredible, and I think this is the whole point for me of ownership. It's about dreaming. It's about just going through the whole experience. If it doesn't turn out that way, then so be it. But you've got a horse, and you're talking about running in the Champion Chase, and that journey is just going to be unbelievable.
Well,
fun.
the thing is, in Ireland, your big 2 mile chaser in Ireland is going to run about twice before Cheltenham because he's a bit of a fragile horse. So you've got a lot of chances there to pick up a nice little pot.
Yeah, this is the thing, and also, you know, there's plenty of horses at Gordon's Yard. I think he had about 230 of them working yesterday. But we're starting to move slowly up the pecking order there.
We're closing in on the jump season, aren't we? And it's exciting stuff here on Racing Post Live, that's for sure. Listen, we wish you well with him.
Thank you.
You said if you can't quite make that next step, Tom Segal believes you can, you might look to go back on the flat with him. Well, there's some horse to own that, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he's won as a pointer. He's won as a novice hurdler. He's won as a novice chaser, and he's now won on the flat.
He hosed up on the flat, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. It was very impressive. So, to be honest, I'd have a couple of quid on him for the boat race, to tell you the truth, because I don't think there's any surface or any conditions.
You've been saving that one up.
He can't, yeah.
What if it's on?
What if a sheriff wins that, to be honest?
And perfectly timed by Keith Melrose over there. Right then, Barry, should we have a look at our last race? We can't be that far away. In fact, we're 8 minutes away from it, are we? I think that's probably about right. It is, of course, we're 13 minutes away, I should say. That is the 3:45. Of course, it is. I've had them 10s and 40s for some reason.
Did I dream that Lisnagar Oscar win that, or did that actually happen?
Did what?
Lisnagar Oscar won the stairs hurdle.
Lisnagar
The day
Oscar.
you were in, yeah. It's one of those things you think, did I make that
Very
up?
hard to remember that, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. Almost like, nah, it didn't actually happen. That.
I backed him in the Albert Bartlett the year before, so it was a tough
That is a
watch
tough.
for me,
That's a
that.
tough old watch.
It was a tough. He went over fences. It's
Oh
hard
yeah,
to
he couldn't
remember,
jump. I watched him over fences. The only time I watched him last season, I went, oh, he can't jump him.
Yeah, get your questions in for Sandro then before he leaves if you want to know anything about Chosen Mate and where he might go next. Tell us about the jump seats, whatever you want to tell us. Get your social comments in, but it's the last race coming up on the screen. It is the 3:45 7 furlong handicap. I could have gone with 4 or 5 here, Barry. Give me some help.
At the head of the market, a 4-1 Jamari Bay, Eastern World in there at 9-2, 8.6 Cold Front. I suppose the money one is Cold Front, was 11.5 earlier this morning into 8.6 now. So at the head of the market, he's probably the one that's been best back. The horse I like is Hayley Turner's Mount, Broughton's Gold, at around 10. Was 8.8 this morning, so just a slight drifter, but one handicaps in Windsor and Newmarket off 80 and 84 is rated 88. Now, just a horse going the right direction. 2 for 2 over 7 furlongs. She gets on particularly well with it, Hayley. And yeah, that'll do for me at around the 10 mark. So if your glamorous assistant in there, you give
Glamorous is pushing it, Barry. Glamorous is pushing
the assistant.
I'll tell you, this is let me tell you that Keith Melrose, this is the only thing he could do at the Racing Post where he would be my assistant. But I'm loving today, basically.
Couldn't afford me, but you couldn't afford me, Orton.
Janitor, take it away.
Right,
Let's have 25 quid on that.
25 quid. There we
Just
go.
win, yeah.
There you are. You're on.
Good man, thank you.
Happy days. So Broughton's Gold. Yeah, he's been on a right roll, hasn't he? I got with him at Windsor, Barry, and moving up to 7. I just wondered whether this might be. This is a deeper race. I guess you're getting that in the price. So you've got your chance to react to what Barry's done then. He's on an absolute high over piece. The nap of the day swooped home for you out there. I know you're going to be raucously enjoying it. Are you going to play up a little bit on Broughton's Gold to strike? Keith Melrose, your selection, please.
Yeah, Barry said money for Cold Front. There's always money for Cold Front. He's got a favourite every run so far.
Wow.
And I liked him at Goodwood. He got pulled out in the festival there. And he ran instead at York. And it's hard to excuse entirely what happened at York, but he was never in a great position and just seemed to flounder in what was turning into sort of relatively testing ground. I think it was getting rained on at that time. So you can forgive it. And I think I'm going to. I have backed him for this. And they've reached for the tongue tie, so that links back to the Favourite Moon thing. Favourite Moon blobs at York, having looked like a really progressive horse. They went, what's gone wrong, lads? Let's try a tongue tie and see what happens.
Yes.
And Favourite Moon won by, 7 lengths last weekend. So maybe it's just one of these things Haggis does. He goes, let's stick a tongue tie on and mix things up for the horse.
I
Hope
can't
G's them
remember
back
who I was
into it.
speaking to on this show. I think it might be Stevie Donahoe. We were talking about, from a riding perspective, what's your, when you're a jockey and you see a change of headgear or first-time headgear, he said, well, I like the one angle, but the tongue tie was the one he said in all his career. I'm sure it was Stevie.
Well, talking to Sandro here, because Gordon Elliott, and certainly in his younger days, that was his big trick. He used, and I know this is sort of verbatim, he used to use the tongue tie to turn them on and off. You know, if they say, "Oh, today's today, lads," we're sticking a tongue tie because the horse. There was an almost Pavlovian response from his horses in the early days to sticking the tongue tie on. They knew that the tongue tie was on. It's go
That was
time.
the one.
Yeah.
Did you get with that? Was that a trend that paid
It
off?
had already firmly established itself by the time I heard about it, unfortunately.
Right, yeah, he does have a box of tricks, all right, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Sure. It is just a pair of old tights as well, a tongue tie, if you didn't know. It's the most primitive form of headgear you've got, but seemingly one of the most effective. Talking about first-time pieces of headgear, cheap pieces on Jumeirah Bay and Eastern World as well. Did that put you off slightly before we come to me and Sandro for our selections?
Not particularly, no.
No, all right, fair enough. That's nice and summed up there. Sandro, then, give us a winner, old boy.
Yeah, I'll try my best. That's what I've done all day, Dave. Look, I like Persuasion.
We got Yazamanlay, didn't you? So
yeah, we did. Yeah. So the 2-7 winner. We'll just about cover the other losses.
Nailed it.
Beggars and Jews.
Could have put up Logician. If I said Logician, I heard him before we came on. He was really keen on Logician.
Should be 20s on. Yeah, the money buyer out there.
No, yeah, I like Persuasion. I think you can forgive it. The run in the Guineas. It's obviously extremely high yardstick, isn't it? And I think obviously the drop back to 7 will suit. And it's, I suppose the concern would be you've got to go back to the beginning of its career for some really good pieces of form, but they are very good pieces of form. Glorious Goodwood win, and then a second in a Group 2 at Newmarket over 7 furlongs. So if he can get anywhere near close to that kind of form, then I think, and look at a nice price as well. That would be the one for me. But
yeah, it's a massive class drop, isn't it?
Did we get a quote on why he's been off since June? I don't know if there was one in the paper.
That's a good question. I don't know. Perhaps you can do that. Well, I tell you that
Well,
that's what the guys...
we didn't preview this race, actually.
That My Racing are going for as well. Do check out myracing.com. They've had a bit of a frustrating day, but they're having a cracking season with their tips. And Persuasion was one of their headline tips today that I got. So lovely to have our friends along there. They've got a massive Twitter following, expert analysis and tips, myracing.com. Faith in Frankie Dettori. Don't usually go too wrong. Yeah, he is a bit of a fly in the ointment here. I went for Mr. Snowden, who is much more exposed to a degree. I just think that it's exactly the sort of horse that when you told me that Richard Hughes was starting training, this is exactly the sort of horse I thought he'd do well with. A little bit of a tricky customer, needs to find a bit of cover. If you watched him at Yarmouth on his penultimate run where he was second, how did he lose that? And then at Goodwood, he didn't quite get the run behind Society Lion at Goodwood, which I think is form which is up there. I thought he would be more like a sort of 13-2 shot. He's been 10-1, 9-1. I just think this race maps well for him. Talk me out of that, Keith.
No, I mean, the thing is, you can tell that Richard Hughes thinks he's that sort of horse that needs buried up and presented through because he's got Shane Kelly to ride him.
Well, Shane rides most of his horses, doesn't he?
But Shane, that's the thing that he gets. That's what he does.
They're on a roll as well, actually, aren't they? Did you see Life Matters that took out the final race at Kempton yesterday? I know you don't watch unless it's Saturday racing, but there was a massive gamble on this staying favourite there, and Shane was praised for the ride there. Shane Kelly's one of these riders, isn't he? That let's be frank about this. Punters have come for him over the years. He's one of those that used to sit out the back, a little bit of a Spencer, if you like, on that front. You know, a horseman, unparalleled with others. He's a top horseman. I think since he's joined Richard Hughes, he's shown what he's all about. And Shane Kelly he's a fine jockey. He's a great guy, Shane, as well, actually. And this is made for him, this horse, I think.
I've always associated him with Geordie Land.
Oh,
Geordie Land.
Jamie Osborne's.
Yeah. He used to like that, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right out the back, travelled right strongly.
And Spencer as well, yeah.
Had to get presented on the line, didn't he?
Could never catch Yates, could he?
No. He used to throw his head in the air when he got to the front, didn't he?
Always looked 3 furlongs out as they were turning into, in that Gold Cup, like the Yates must have been a bit of trouble. And broke his heart, didn't he? But a very, very talented horse, Jordan. So it's Mr. Snowden for me. What price is Mr. Snowden, Barry, in what looks like a properly open market?
Yeah, actually, a few quid for him. He's 10.5 now, having been 11.5. So, yeah, a few quid knocking around from. Cold Front comes in for more support into 8 now.
Yeah, this is I'm not going to say he's a cliff horse for me, Cold Front, but as I mentioned to you off at the top of the show, I asked you what you liked, and you said Cold Front. I said, when I was away for the EBOR meeting, I was watching from afar, and I sort of picked it up on my screen. And before the final furlong pole, I just turned it off. He never quite got into the race, did he?
He showed there was something there, didn't he? He showed, obviously there's ability, but he did make a brief bit of headway in that race, and then just petered out.
I'm now off because I'm a bit too disgusted with that run. But I'm just off. So you know what happens there. Soslaw's the biggest thing in this game, isn't it? So he's one that I'm just going to let go, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's bang there in the fifth.
I think this, barring something happening in running today, there's no excuses today. So this is last chance for him really, unless he gets Muller or something in running. But
what about the Fav then, Jumeirah Bay, a horse that has taken time to show his light, I think, isn't it? First time cheek pieces, no surprise whatsoever for me actually that this is being deployed on this horse, because he has. Was it at York, 2 runs back, where he looked absolutely nailed on to win?
Just hung, didn't he?
And just hung it away. And again, I got off and he wins next time. So.
Well, he won it 2s on, didn't he? He wouldn't have got rich as a Sandro bet, that one.
That's a Sandro bet. Yeah, absolutely.
So he's got. I mean, the cheap pieces on for the big field handicap makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And if you think he should be treated as the likeliest winner of a race as competitive as this, then you're a braver man than I.
I'm trying to see the trainers with the best records in this race. Just give me a minute, I'll get there.
Would there be many horses that put cheek pieces on first time after winning last time out?
Well,
I appreciate it was 2 on, and it wasn't, maybe not the highest
Roger Varian, the trainers saved them probably, hasn't he?
Well, yeah.
I think he saved them for the big pot. Roger has got the best record in the race of all the trainers, actually, and he's had 3 runners in the last decade, and he has taken 2 of the last 3 runnings. Lahore in 2017, and Mutamasik, who landed an almighty punt, albeit in just a 4-runner renewal on really quick ground, you may remember, at the meeting last year. Lightning quick at the meeting last year.
Yeah, I remember it was like a road, wasn't it? That's right.
Yeah. A lot was made of that. Just watching Mr. Snowden go down and Shane Kelly taking a keen hold. So, final race of the day, opening day here on Racing Post Live. St Ledger week it is. Tomorrow we will be back for another stellar card, and it's all about Saturday. Irish Champions Day we'll be covering alongside Doncaster as well. Don't worry about it. Sunday service will be resumed. We'll be here for you then as well. Keep your social comments coming in. We absolutely love that. The panellists read the feedback. We'd love to have you on, get some good feedback from today. Thanks for that. Barry, how's your day been so far? Piece to the obvious highlights.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. The guy who owns that actually is making good waves over here. He's plenty of horses. American Faro filly that, and he looks like he's going to make a really good fist of the breeding game. A guy called Scott Hyder.
Okay, that's interesting.
American, based in Oklahoma. I think the Racing posted a feature on him on Sunday, actually.
Okay, I should really know that, but like Keith Melrose, I only
read the news pages. Oh, don't read the news pages.
Do you know what? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I do, but you know what it's like. There's so much going on, isn't there? Sometimes
you've got to pick and choose. I mean, I on the flat, I tend to watch the stairs more than anything else. I just choose to specialise. I've got so much behind the scenes stuff going on at work and whatever that. Yeah. You choose to specialise. In the winter, I do a bit more. I do most of the chasers. But on the flat, when it's summer and it's extremely busy, I just do the stairs.
It just sounds like he's just wherever chosen mate goes. Chases.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and he does stay on the flat.
He's bitter about missing the prize, though, as he let us know. The prize
what did I back in the Grand Annual? I'll tell you what I backed against your horse in the Grand Annual in a second.
Do you specialise, Sandro? Do you try and or are you just your eyes and?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I do a little bit on TalkSport too, who now have racing coverage during the week, so that sort of forced me to keep my eye in a little bit more. As a rule, I'm a little bit more of a kind of a Saturday punter, and kind of will have a bit more of an interest around the weekend, just because my working week sees me probably focus a little bit more on other sports and football.
Yeah.
Have you? So I'm probably a little bit of a fair weather racing punter, you might want to describe it at. And naturally, of course, the horses, just the 2 horses that I own shares in, you obviously have a big interest in those. But yeah, as a rule, I wouldn't be one for settling down to watch Wolverhampton on a Friday night, for example.
Well, I'm different to that. Wherever I see an angle, I'll go. I'm not fussy. I've come into enjoying the all-weather, which you called guff earlier, by the way.
No, the all-weather in the winter is a lot weaker than the summer racing.
This year, Barry, that could be a lot different, couldn't it? Because of the massive backlog. I imagine we're going to see some proper horses at Dundalk, for example. We've had this truncated campaign, haven't we?
Yeah, in fairness, the standard of racing in Dundalk is actually quite good. It's good prize money up there as well. So it is always a well-supported track. The only danger to them is potentially Tipperary and Coolmore throw their weight behind an all-weather track in there in Limerick Junction. So that would be interesting to see. But it's really well supported over here, and it's a great way to spend a Friday night as well, sitting at home watching Dundalk.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
I've been to Dundalk. It's a good place to go on a Friday night as well.
We spoke about brains running at Dundalk, and the general consensus was the quality would be too good. We won't have a chance of maybe trying to nick one that you could do.
You'd probably bump into one, wouldn't you? You would almost certainly because of
absolutely.
It's a long way home at Dundalk off that bend, isn't it? You tend to get a bit excited when you're turning in.
Well, most of the races don't pan out until 3 furlongs out, do they? They just crawl and sprint a lot of the time at Dundalk.
So there's definitely appetite for another all-weather track in Ireland then, Barry.
Very much so, yeah. I think Coolmore are keen to have one down south. And if that was the case, it would be probably Tipperary.
This is the man that doesn't have his finger on the buzzers, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
And what's coming out of Coolmore, he just knows that they're building a secret all-weather track down there.
I read it in the Racing Post, Dave.
Is that right? Yeah, you got another lovely advert there.
I backed Grenadine in the Grand Annual, and I tell you what, people could do worse than follow that horse next year.
Yes,
it shaped pretty well in the Grand Annual. I really fancied it.
I think he came onto it on the 5-timer.
Sorry?
Nichols horse, yeah.
Nichols horse.
Another Betfair ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it looked men against boys at Musselburgh by the time before, I think, and then it did shape better than the result in the Grand Annual. It'll be in one of my top 5 or 6 horses to follow for the year.
We will get number 1. Do you know what? We'll get a nice little shortlist from you later on, Keith. That'll be great.
You won't.
We won't.
couldn't name me 5 jumps.
We'll get a smoke screen of it. There you go.
It was interesting actually. We got a bit of stick. A few people gave us a bit of stick for going in the Grand Annual route and said it should have gone to the Arkle.
Well, yeah, it's always going to happen with a novice, isn't it? Always going to happen with a novice. Talking of novices, if you are a novice with the Betfair Exchange, let's hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about how we trade. If you want to learn more, honestly, stick with this show this week. Barry will tell you the ins and outs of it. We'll be training for you each day. How have you got on today? Let us know. Keep those social comments coming in. We've got one more race, and we've got 1 or 2 more to go in for it as well. I'm looking at the prices, Barry. A final update. Looks like Eastern World might now go off Fav.
Yeah, he's just favourite now, 5.3 ahead of Jamara Bay, who's 6, 7.2 call from Orton. Broke the horse I backed in for a bit of support into 9, 11, Mr. Snowden, and Persuasion 14.5 going the other direction.
We haven't mentioned Black Caspian here, chaps. I know the Ryan Yard are really keen on this horse. He's a horse that they've put the cheap pieces on, Keith. He's a pace angler in the race, likely as well, isn't he? I think they feel like he's leaving a bit on the table, but they think they've got him cherry ripe, apparently.
He has worn the cheap piece a few times before, unlike some other ones in this race. He also has that York form with Brunch. And, in that race, you could maybe sort of take from it that you wanted to come back to 7.
Yeah.
And I know I know they like it. I know you've heard that they like it, and they're quite happy to say as much.
Yes.
So certainly wouldn't be putting people off. It does seem, and drawn 13 as well, potentially going to get on that rail.
What I like about him is, having watched back the replays, after getting the word that they thought might be one of the next winners coming up, he looks like he's beaten and he keeps finding a little bit. And I like you say, coming back in trip, it's just whether something might take him on. Broughton's Gold likes to be up there. Cold Front, I think they'll probably be a bit more positive with him.
Yeah, they won't lead with him, but they don't want to get back where they were.
Eastern World likes to be up there. Persuasion as well. Sandro Di Michele's tip. Last one is going in. Mr. Snowden has been giving a bit of trouble in behind. Expect Mr. Snowden to be held up a little bit. Good luck then, wherever you're going for the final race. The 3:45 at Doncaster. Uber competitive 7 furlong handicap for the 3-year-olds. Who's going to come out best? Looks like Eastern World just about going to go off favouritism, and they are indeed off. Ziggle Pop's a little bit slow away, and once again...
On the rail, straight away on the rail.
Slipper's opinion, and Black Caspian has indeed got that rail. Now, Cold Front is just about leading, Keith.
Yeah, he's going to just take that lead off Black Caspian, I think, or he might even have just pulled himself to the front.
Mr. Snowden's got a lovely pitch there. He's got to be contracting in the market, I think.
Very, very keen, isn't it?
Sandro Di Michele, but you've got to give us the who's going to win this, Sandro? You can't do any worse than the last race.
What I can tell you is I'd be surprised if it is Persuasion. Drifted in the market, that's probably the weight of Di Michele dollars, and it's pulled very hard so far in the race.
They've gone just an
he's
average
right out on the
pace,
wing as well, isn't he? He's got no mates out there.
Yeah, now there's some looking for Jamira Bay, the well-fancied Jamira Bay right at the back. Black Caspian, that's his style. He's just against the rail. He's being shaken up now. What will he find? Cold Front really going well in front. Barry Orr's going to be getting excited. Broughton's Gold there. Eastern World there. Mr. Snowden poised to challenge. What will he find? Milltown Star. This is interesting for Mick Shannon. Really good return at Goodwood last time in. Will he get it run through?
Cold Front has got the rail now.
Through. Here comes Jamira Bay. It looks like it might be between between the pair. Mr. Snowden struggling for a run.
Surely
What's
he gets
this on the
swallowed
outside?
up.
Hakiki for John Gosden looking for a treble on the day.
Get
Cole
back,
Front's got the
Gosden.
rail,
Get
though.
back, Gosden.
Keith thinks he's got it. Oh, no, he hasn't. He's going to come up just short again because Hakiki's going to take it out for Jim Crowley. That man having a stunning season. He's taking it out, mugged the long-time front-runner Cole Front, who Tom Marquand must have thought he had that, and running on right from out of the clouds, National League in third. Keith Melrose, hard luck, old boy.
Yeah, got a really positive ride. Maybe see.
Didn't expect him to lead, though, did you?
No, I thought he was. I think the horse took him there a bit, to be honest. The horse looked like it was. I think if he had the chance to go in behind Black Caspian, he would have taken it, but he didn't. And so he made it, and then he went for the rail as soon as he knew, that push was coming to shove. And I did wonder at the time. I thought, has he done a little bit too much here? I don't think you could say that to any meaningful degree. He was the second best horse, regardless. So you got to say that's absolutely fair enough by this horse. He's always been fancied, and it turns out he's quite a bit better than a mark of 90. Just not quite good enough in a really competitive race like this.
Yeah, Hakiki, one of these horses that people probably jumped straight off, but before that had the nice progressive profile, didn't it? Duck egg next to its name. Lovely ride, wasn't it?
Hit a high of 330 in running.
Barry,
The Betfair SP is 17.5. Wow. Cole Front hit a low of 1.41.
When did he hit 330?
Yeah.
When did he hit that? Well, I mean, what would that have been when he was? What was that through the first couple of furlongs? Do you think?
Did he come out arse first?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, there are a couple of eye catchers there. National League's really flashed home, hasn't he? Persuasion seems to have run quite well, Sandro.
Is it?
Has it? Or what was that?
Then he's coming in with the
colours.
Yeah.
That was the Midland Park horse, Lexington Dash, that's run quite well.
Yeah, very disappointing. I suppose what I can say is I might not be financially richer for today's experience, but I am emotionally richer for being in all of your company because it's been very disappointing. Disappointing run, pulled hard, didn't it? It drifted. It did drift quite heavily, didn't it, in the market just before the off? Maybe that was a sign.
Tell you what, Milltown Star caught the eye there a little bit as well. That's two eye-catching runs for Mick Shannon. He's put in. Watch back the replay there. You'll see Milltown Star didn't get a run about 2 furlongs out. He loves slightly softer ground. He's a winner waiting to happen. I think won a listed race in France as a 3-year-old. How short did Cole Front go, Barry?
1.4.
5 to 2 on 1.41.
1.41. Yeah, I mean, Jamira Bay, did he touch anything? He looked like he was coming at one point, flattened out. Broughton's Gold was there to a certain extent.
Broughton's Gold hit a low of 5 to 1, and Jamira Bay 4.1 traded it.
You can see why they went for cheap pieces on him, I think. And Mr. Snowden had no real excuses, I don't think. A little bit more problem than I thought he would be. But
he ran quite well, didn't he, Mr. Snowden, from what I saw? He finished.
Hakiki, yeah, he ran okay, didn't he? Just okay, I think. Maybe I was expecting a little bit running back to him. He's in at Chelmsford on Sunday, Hakiki. Whether they go under on a penalty, I don't know. A 7 furlong.
Probably thinking a bit higher than Chelmsford now, really.
Balmoral?
Possibly. I mean, it wouldn't be out the question for this. I mean, you'd have backed him if that were the case, but
there was a bit of money for him, wasn't there?
Gosden can keep these 3-year-olds back for the autumn.
It was too bad to be true, wasn't it, Barry? You're right.
It was over a mile, wasn't it? They dropped him back.
And he came 10th of 10. He was 6 to 1 that day. It was just too bad to be true, wasn't it? So if you're in a forgiving mood, you might well have been there. And Jim Crowley runs all Miss Hissa, Hamdan Almatoon's daughter's horses. It was some really expensive stock and looked like he was getting there before that.
Looking at the profile of this horse, he's by Lope de Vega, and there's a perception that horse's progeny goes better on softer ground. Gosden's got a 3-year-old there. He's flopped in July. There's a chance with Gosden that what he has done in the past is he knows there's a lot of good prizes in the autumn for 3-year-olds to pick up in handicaps.
Yeah.
And it might be the case that after Newmarket they've gone, we'll tell you what, lads, we'll put him away until the autumn and bring him back and try and do some damage. And that's what looks like might be happening. I just wish I'd spotted it.
I went to see if he was in something like the Cambridgeshire, but I guess that's a bit too. With a mark like that, would be a bit too high, wouldn't it, at that stage of his career? But
potentially, yeah.
He looks like that kind of horse, but whether Gosden will again.
But he doesn't need to be like a 3-year-old racer or even like a Cambridgeshire. It just needs to be, you will get these slightly more valuable back-end handicaps where a lot of horses have already shot their boat for the season.
Yes.
And this horse comes in a lot fresher.
He absolutely ate it up. He came out of nowhere, didn't he, when it looked like Cole Front had it. Did you get him? Hakiki, did you stick with Jim Crowley? Well, that just about wraps us up racing-wise there, RP Live. Barry Orr, thanks for joining us again. You're back tomorrow?
Absolute pleasure, Sandro. It's lovely to see you, and hopefully we'll meet again soon on a racecourse either in England or Ireland.
Yes, absolutely, and we'll be looking for back-to-back naps from Barry. Pieced up went in for him. I'm delighted with that. That was my big winner of the day. We've got a social comment before we go to the chaps in the studio. Alan Waltham, thanks, chaps. Hasta mañana. Hasta mañana to you, Alan Waltham. Join us back tomorrow.
Is that the next?
What's that?
Is that in the next?
Is that the next?
Is that in the next? Hasta mañana.
It could be. It could be a hand down horse, couldn't it? Sandro, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful. Lovely to be back here.
You'll be back?
I will be back, yeah, if invited. Yeah, looking
You
forward
will.
to it. And let's hope, just to echo Barry's comments, let's hope we all can meet up on a race course in a not too distant future.
Watch a bit more races in running and then try and chill out. Monica Sheriff wins. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. Keith Melrose, thank you for coming down and joining us.
Pleasure.
This is just your second time back in London since lockdown?
Yeah, it is. Well, the last 3 times I've been in London has all been for this show.
And
the
the
one
one
was
eerie out there, isn't it?
Is it? Well, it's a bit. Last month it was very quiet. It's got a little bit busier again.
We're hoping that despite what's going on, that changes slightly. We'll have you back, no doubt.
And I'm looking forward to, again, let's echo that we're all happy to see each other on a race course soon. Hope I see Barry when he's handing out the prizes at Betfair Chase Day, because that's one of my favourite days. It's one of my favourite days racing. That I love.
It'll be a yellow scarf.
A yellow chamois.
A yellow scarf.
I've got about 5
Clean
dishcloths now. They're all
windows.
Betfair scarves.
Do you know what? I think I've got 2 in my cloakroom somewhere, actually, from over the years as well. Everyone wants one of them. Ingenious, whoever came up with that. So thanks to the panel then today. Thanks to you for watching Racing Post Live. We'll be back 1:30 tomorrow. Some big breaking news on the website. Phoenix Thoroughbred runners barred from running in England. Banned they have been. Check that out on the website. We'll cover that tomorrow. Look forward to it. Enjoy the night. Don't join us. Just come back in your droves.